as well. All right, so let me just see. Okay, let me, hang on, yeah. Let me just do something. Okay, so sorry, hang on, let me just pause. Okay, all right, so I'm going to share my screen again. I'm so sorry for that. Let me just escape this. Okay, all right, so sorry for that. Okay, okay, so where was I just now? Okay, okay, so yeah, like I said, I'm going to share strategies with all of you, and hope it is beneficial for everybody in the long run. Okay, so okay, who am I? I'm actually I started out as early childhood educator, and then I moved on to a special education school. I've had about 17 years of teaching experience now. 15 of it is in specifically in SPED. Okay, so I was in EPIC, which is Early Intervention Center. I was a team leader, coach. I have teams of teachers, and my EPIC was specifically targeted to young children with autism. Okay, so after that, I moved on to MOE, being with their LBS, Learning Behavior Specialist. Sorry, learning behavior support. Sorry, and then I also again, you know, mentored and guided a lot of ADs. I did workshops and all that. So right now, currently, I've already left the service, and I'm now an early intervention specialist, which means that I go to my students' houses, and then I basically do intervention with them. At the same time, I continue on with the workshops and consultations with schools. Okay, so that's about me. Oh yeah, please, at any time if you think I'm too fast, please let me know, and then I will stop and slow down, okay? So that I don't go too fast for some of you, all right? Later on when we have, info overload or something like that. So if it's too fast, please do let me know. Okay, so enough about me. I actually would like to know more about you. Okay, so can you just, just get ready your handphone, because I would like to do a check-in activity, do a short survey. I would like you to go to hop on to this tinyurl.com/getting to know us, because I would like to know, what's the profile, what's the end profile for everybody here. So could you just please take a bit of time, go to tinyurl.com/getting to know us, and then just answer three. I believe there's only three very simple questions. So yeah, can you all do that for a while? And then I'm going to see what's the responses like. Okay, so again, tinyurl.com/getting to know us. Okay, so can everybody just log in so that I can just check and see. And okay, so it's either you're a teacher, family member of a child with or without ADHD, or neither. You're just here because you're interested to know more about ADHD. Okay, so yes, we have a lot of teachers. I'm expecting a lot of teachers actually, but I do understand we have quite a lot of parents who are non-teachers. Okay, yeah. So let me see. Prior knowledge, maybe, no. Okay, good. So how do you feel about managing children with attention issues? Number one is help, right? I believe. And then number four is game on. Number four is game on, right? You're all gung-ho to like bring it on, anything will do. Okay, so just get a bit more responses, because I think there's quite a lot of you here. Okay, hang on, yeah. Let me see, 16. You can go to tinyurl.com/getting to know us. Okay, this is the link that you should be seeing. Okay. All right. Okay, let me see whether we can get at least maybe about 20, 25, because I think there's quite a lot of you here. Let me just check. We have 40, yeah, so 40 participants. Can we get at least half or more? All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so most of you, okay, all right, great. Thank you so much. We have, yeah, 20 responses. Very good, thank you. And most of you are teachers, like we expected it. And then we do have some family members here. And oh, actually quite a lot, quite some of you are neither parents of kids with ADHD nor teachers, but just interested to know. Very interesting, right? Okay, so quite a lot of you, I'm not quite sure whether or not you have prior knowledge of ADHD, which is fine. Okay, we're all on a learning process, even for me. Some of you knows what is it about, and okay, good. All right, so quite a lot of you are answering ones and two, which means that you are not quite sure how to help, right, or manage these kids. And then, okay, so three of you are quite confident enough. So quite a lot of you, okay, just want to help your student or child. That's why you're here. Uh, there's some of you very good. You happen to be free, and it's a free workshop. Why not, right? Want to learn more? Okay, great. That's part of my PDL. Okay, good. Forced to sign up? Nobody? Really? Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna stop there. Thank you so much for your responses. Okay, and then I am going to stop share this. All right, so I'm going to do sharing again with my PowerPoint. Hang on, yeah. Let me just share with my PowerPoint. Okay. All right. So where were we? Okay. So now that I got to know a bit about you, which is great, because some of you, a lot of you are teachers, and some of your parents. Okay. So I can roughly gauge which, you know, how I can pitch this workshop is. Okay. All right. First, yeah. Okay. So this. Okay. Sorry. Today's content, okay, we're going to talk about the signs and symptoms of ADHD, the role of attention in learning, okay, because ADHD, as you know, is an abbreviation for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So it has that attention in there. So we're going to learn why do we need to have attention in learning. And then I'm going to give you some learning strategies, okay, be it in the classroom, at home, or even, you know, right now with the COVID situation, okay, there's we are doing a lot of virtual classrooms. So I'm going to do a bit of strategies on that, okay? And then we're going to do some self-care management, because I know, you know, managing students or even children with ADHD is not easy. It's quite tough. So I'm going to give you some self-care tips, hopefully, which will help you. And then any last thoughts, okay? So before I go on, okay, I'm going to put up the schedule here so that it keeps you, okay, so that you know what to expect and all that. Okay, so yeah, so we look forward to all this. Okay, we have game, then we will have a break time, don't worry. And then we have another break, and then last thoughts before we end our session. Okay, all right, so are you all ready now? Yes? Okay, so I hope you're already very gung-ho, right? Okay, let's go. Now, before we start, does anybody want to share about your personal experiences with kids with hyperactivity? Because I know just now Ustazah Zubaida did mention about her experiences. You know, if there's anybody here, at least one of you want to share your, you know, your experiences with whether or not the child is diagnosed or not, you know, you can share with us. Then what did you do? How did you feel? Okay, because that's the most important part. How did you feel when you manage kids with hyperactivity? All right, is there anybody who wants to share? If not, I will share. Okay, I will share first, right? If all of you are shy right now. Okay, like I said, you know, I've got years of experiences with kids, and I encountered a lot of students of, you know, diverse learning needs. Okay, a lot of hyperactivity, a lot of kids who are hyper, whether or not diagnosed or not. Okay, I remember I'm actually I taught in secondary school. Okay, yes, we actually do have quite a lot of kids with special needs in secondary school, mainstream secondary school. Every time I mentioned that, you know, I was supporting kids with special needs in secondary school, a lot of them go, "Oh, you mean there is?" So yes, there is quite a lot actually. Okay, so in my experience, there was once this boy, he has a diagnosis of ADHD as well as dyslexia, as well as speech and language impairment when he was in primary school. So this boy, every time he has something to that he wants to during lessons he needs to tell the teacher, ask the teacher things. He will straight away like raise your hand, and the thing is he raises his hands, but he doesn't like wait for the teacher to call him out. He will say, "Teacher, do you know that?" So he will immediately ask his questions. So, and he's the sort that he will ask a million questions, literally. All right, in one lesson, in 140 minutes lesson, I think I can count like up to 10 or 15 questions that he will ask. So yeah, so he's very impulsive. Okay, he doesn't wait for the teachers and all that. So unfortunately, it's such a disturbance to the teachers because he would do that, and the teachers, usually have like 30 or more other students. So it can be very disruptive. So they were very frustrated, and then they approached me, and then I also teach this student directly because I was teaching him social skills. Yeah, so what I did was I actually put a limit to the number of to the number of questions that the student can ask the teachers. So we started off as per lesson. Per lesson, maximum he can ask like 10 questions. I actually put up a small paper and then put squares. Okay, 10 squares, and then every time he asks the questions, the teachers will come over and put cross so that he knows how many questions are left. Okay, so yeah, so it started off as 10 questions per lesson, and then we move on to 5 questions per lesson. And then in the end, he was only allowed like, I think, 5 questions throughout the whole day. Yeah, throughout the whole day. In that 6-7 hours in school, he's only allowed 5 questions. So by the time he was in Sec 4, he managed to achieve that really well. And yeah, so that was my experience with this particular boy. All right. Is there anybody who wants to share? If you want to share, you can just unmute yourself, and then you can just share with us your experiences, especially how you feel. Because I'd like to hear teachers or parents, how they feel like when they manage, when they are trying to manage these students. Yeah. So is there anybody who wants to volunteer? Don't be scared. We're not going to bite you, and it's really a sharing session for everyone. I hope that everyone can share from each other. Okay. So any volunteers? No? Really? Oh. Okay. Yes, Siti Khairani.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe I would like to share my experience. Okay, this boy, I taught him when he was turning 6 years old. Yeah, so in a kindergarten setting. So he wasn't diagnosed, but we actually could see some of the hyper activity. He was very hyper, in other words. Yeah. So what actually we observed is that he couldn't control himself. He was very impulsive. He fidgets most of the time. So during large group lesson, when all of them were seated on the floor within the big group, he will just how should I say, slap his friend's face or just do something, or with his legs or something. So whenever we ask him, why do you do that? Like, no one was even disturbing him. So he said, I don't know, I just have to do something with my hands. My hands have to move. So he is actually high functioning there. His EQ is very, IQ is very high. Yeah, but it's the emotional quotient that we were very concerned about.
Okay.
Yeah. So then after that we had a discussion with his parents, and then we also spoke with our officers and all that. So we did explain to him that you have to calm down, you have to control yourself. And then like what you have shared earlier as well, when he started asking questions, then it's like never ending question.
Yeah.
And when he answers a question, then every time he will want to answer, then he will go pop, 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 non-stop. Yeah.
Ah.
So when we actually tried several strategies, like, okay, let's put a stress ball in your pocket. Initially we asked him to hold, since he said that, we told him that, okay, since you say you need something to do with your hand, right? So we will give you a stress ball. So once you feel like you want to do something, you squeeze the ball hard, you know. So
Yep.
we tried that, but then he's very smart. Like, he said, but I don't want to be different. The rest of my friends are not holding anything. I do not want to be seen as different. So
Yep.
then we thought, okay, then why don't you hide it inside your pocket so that it's not that obvious? But it worked only for a while. Then after that, he felt that this squeeze ball is not working anymore. Yeah, so until towards the end, right after, I mean, before he graduated, we couldn't. I think it's also because the parents did not want him to be diagnosed as a, ADHD. Yeah, so they just want to try and help him on their own.
Okay. All right. Was it
Yeah.
frustrating for you or for the teachers?
It's frustrating. I think even for the boys, because every time when I need to channel my energy. So in the end, I had to ask a colleague of mine or even my assistant to, okay, we have to do a vigorous activity first, an exercise before our lesson. So we had to do that just so that he can channel his energy before he could sit down in a large group to really concentrate during the lesson.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Did that work? The channeling of energy into other activities?
It really depends. It works sometimes, but there are also other times that it didn't
It
work.
doesn't.
So
Okay.
yeah, so he will, but so whenever we are doing like their individual work, right? So if he has to walk around while writing, I would just allow that, because I can't stop him.
Yes.
He will disturb the person next to him, and then he will just like take their pencil or just push the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sis,
You
for
can just
sharing with
call me
us.
Yanni. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yani, for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And yeah,
Welcome.
you know, teachers, we do experience that on a daily basis, not only with one kid, but sometimes in one class we do see a lot of kids who are hyper, who are or, always moving around. So hopefully, later on, I'll provide some strategies for you, other strategies as well, to see whether it can help. All right. Okay, great. So let me just move on. Yeah, it was a very nice experience, right? Yeah, nice sharing. Thank you again, Yani. All right, great. Yeah, that's just one from a teacher's perspective, right? From parents' perspective, is there anything that you'd like to share, especially in the home setting? Because we as teachers, we only know about our own experiences in school. But how about at home? Usually does the kid behave the same way you hear from the teacher's feedback, or is it like, imagine? Yes, is there somebody who
May
wants to
I
share?
share
Yeah,
something?
sure.
Okay, so I am showing this. This is my boy. Okay, his name is Mabhut. He is 3 years old. He is super duper active.
Okay,
He
hang
can't
on,
stay.
yeah. Sorry, this is Nurjana, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let me just. Okay,
Okay.
hi. Okay,
Hi, say
spotlight
Mabhut, hi.
video for you.
Okay, this
Okay.
is 3 years old,
Yep.
Mabhut. Okay, I have 4 children. So this, my youngest child is very, very, very active compared to the other three.
Others. Okay.
And when he say he wants something, he wants something. When he say he don't want something, that's when he don't want something.
All
So
right.
he is controlling over himself. But luckily we don't have any TV and we don't have any handphone or iPad to give him. So
Yep.
we don't really see his tantrum over the screen time and such lah. But the thing is, it is quite tiring, because when, for example, sleeping time, and then suddenly he said, "No, I want to eat. I want nasi goreng." So we have to find for him nasi goreng, else he don't want
Yep.
to sleep.
Ah.
Uh, Then, but the thing is, because he is not schooling right now, we just moved house, so we
Okay.
couldn't find any play group for him. So we're waiting
Ah.
for him to go for his N1 next year, and maybe we can try to get some feedback from the teachers lah, which is the more professional people lah. But yeah, he is like, sometimes I even said to him, I just wish that there is something for me to like swish, then he can like rest for a while. Because actually last time we have an indoor playground in our home, so he start to like jump, climb, so all the gymnasts, the like ball pit, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, since then until now he can't really sit properly, sit down. But
Okay.
when we ask him to study, he can sit lah, he can study, he can focus study. Or when we give him some educational toy for him to do, he can sit. So we converted one of our wall to a whiteboard. So when we told him that okay, it's drawing time, so he can draw. But the thing is, he can like very hyperactive if we don't give him a specific thing for him to do.
Okay. How are the other siblings? Are they all right with him? Do they find him like, how do they feel?
Other sibling, they are okay with him. It's just that sometimes I have to like divide the work lah. So like, okay, now abang you take care of adik. Then after that, okay, kakak, now you handle him. But
Okay.
he is the type that his hand is quite fast also lah. I mean, like if he wants to throw things, he will just throw things, or just
I'm
beat
sure.
the elder. So
Okay.
this
Thank
is
you so
me.
much. Yep. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes. Okay, great. Okay, thank you again for sharing. Yep. Okay. Now let's see. Okay, we shall move on. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing all of your experiences. Okay, it's really great that you're sharing with me all this, so that we can learn better, right, from each other, especially. Okay, hang on. Yeah, I just need to find myself again, because okay, so you can see myself also. Okay, great. So I'm moving on. Okay, so what is ADHD? All right, so a lot of you have stated, indicated that you more or less know. Maybe you are not quite sure yet. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. Okay, so I'm going to show you a very quick video on what is ADHD, and then I'm going to explain it again in more detail. All right, so I'm going to share with you this video, but I'm going to share it through YouTube, because when I share it through PowerPoint, it's not really smooth. All right, so I'm going to share this with you. All right.
Hello, brains. Welcome to my Definitions and Answers series, where I explain common terms related to ADHD. Since this is the first video in the series, let's start with the basics. What is ADHD? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD, is a neurodevelopmental disorder as defined by the American Psychiatric Association in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, or DSM. ADHD is currently diagnosed in both children and adults based on the symptoms of inattention and hyperactivity or impulsivity. Two of several signs of inattention include making careless mistakes or having difficulty focusing. A few of the many signs of hyperactivity and impulsivity include fidgeting or restlessness, trouble sitting still, or interrupting and blurting out answers. While everyone does these things sometimes, not everyone has ADHD. An ADHD diagnosis requires at least 6 symptoms that are beyond what is age appropriate, that significantly impair multiple aspects of one's life, such as home, school, and work, that have persisted for at least 6 months, been present since before the age of 12, and can't be better explained by a different condition. Not everyone with ADHD has the same symptoms. In fact, ADHD diagnoses are separated into 3 presentations: primarily inattentive, primarily hyperactive or impulsive, and combined type. There are different levels of severity, and people with ADHD often have coexisting conditions, such as learning disabilities, anxiety, or depression. They can also be gifted. The term for this is twice exceptional. While there is no cure for ADHD, it is highly treatable. There is no single treatment that works for everyone with ADHD, but the current recommendation based on a ton of research is multimodal treatment. Medication to manage symptoms, and behavioral therapy to develop the skills and strategies necessary to minimize impairment. Those with ADHD often struggle with everyday tasks and are at a higher risk for negative life outcomes, such as divorce, job loss, accidents, and addiction. At the same time, many people with ADHD credit their success to the unique ways in which their brain works. ADHD symptoms such as impulsivity and distractibility can translate into creativity, curiosity, a willingness to take risks, and an ability to think outside the box. Fun fact, the name ADHD has only been around since 1987, but the condition itself has been described by physicians at least as early as 1798. So it's nothing new, and our understanding of ADHD is constantly evolving. What it is, what causes it, how it affects us, and how to address it. For example, you might hear many experts refer to it as an executive function disorder. And while this isn't listed in the current DSM, emotional dysregulation is also a well-researched aspect of ADHD. As we learn more and more about ADHD, the definition will definitely be updated in both the DSM and the ICD, which is the other major reference for medical definitions. Whatever we call it, and however we define it, those with ADHD experience its impact on many aspects of their lives. If you'd like to learn more about ADHD, check out my ADHD Essentials playlist here. And if you'd like to support this work, consider donating to How to ADHD on Patreon. The brain advocates shown here, and all the Patreon brains, are the reason we can create content that helps ADHD brains and hearts who love them learn to work with
Okay, sorry for that.
their brains, not against them. Let me know what you think of this new series, and let me know what definitions I should do in the future. Then go watch more videos.
Okay, so that is a very quick sharing on what is ADHD. Okay, so and the thing is, I thought that that video was really good because it's very to the point, as well as it is very precise as well. Okay, to our topic today. Okay, so what is ADHD? All right, so I'm going to share back my PowerPoint. All right, let me just. Okay, if you didn't catch the video just now, you can see it on this. The link is below. Okay, what is ADHD by this lady, very nice lady, How to ADHD. All right, she started a whole she has a whole series of videos talking about ADHD. All right, so and I really like it because it's very precise and very relevant as well. Okay, so you can find out more. Meanwhile, we will move on. So
Hello, brains. Welcome to my definition
about that. Okay, so so what is ADHD? Like what the video said, it comes as it has 3 clinical presentations. The first one being hyperactivity impulsive, and then we have the inattentive type, also known as ADD previously, attention deficit disorder, or even a combined type. Combined type means depends on the situation whether or not the student is hyperactive or inattentive. Okay, so a child can present both at different settings. All right, so don't be surprised with that. Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about hyperactive. All right, so hyperactive, what is it? Hyperactive and impulsive. So these children, these kids, they often fidget with their hands or feet and then squirm in their seat. They also often climb excessively. Okay, so the keyword here is excessively. Okay, there's a lot. If like you have other kids, you compare them, and they are just different. Okay, so they run or climb excessively, very inappropriate, even in adults or adolescents. Often has difficulty playing or engaging in leisure activities quietly. Okay, and always on the go. These are the kids, when we are in class, we say, oh, this kid, he's always on the go, always running here and there. So they are often on the go. They talk excessively as well. All right, and then one key term about the hyperactivity and impulsive is that they always blurt out the answers or blurt out anything. And the thing is, when they blurt out their words, right, when they talk, it doesn't have to be related to the lesson or related to whatever that you are in that setting. It doesn't have to be related. They just have to share with you their emotions. They want to share with you their thoughts. So it doesn't have to be connected to relevant to the setting or the classroom, right? And then they also have difficulty awaiting turns. These are the ones when they are not first, or they get very upset easily when they're not first, and then when there's a lot of waiting, they do not know how to wait nicely. All right, then like I said earlier, they interrupt and then they intrude on others. All right, okay, so on the other side of the spectrum, we have the inattention and distractibility. Now what is this? Now this is usually, kids who do not really have the ability to sustain their attention, doesn't really follow through on instructions, difficulty organizing tasks, they don't like, or they avoid engaging tasks that require a long, like lessons, like long task. Okay, basically like play that is very long, or homework, because homework we need to sit down and then be really on task, right? So again, they don't really like, they're very reluctant for that, and they often loosen things as well. Okay, so this can be like school textbooks, pencils, anything. Okay, always very distracted. And then also they do show signs of forgetfulness in daily activities. Okay, so these are the inattention type. So when we want to diagnose ADHD, okay, there's a lot of criteria. Okay, so like the video said, all right, there must be clear significant difficulty in at least 2 or more settings. Okay, this is as per in their DSM-5, which a lot of clinicians use, okay, to diagnose special needs. Okay, so need to have clear significance, difficulty, and then the symptoms of inattention, hyperactivity, or impulsivity must be present for at least 6 months continuously and consistently. All right, so it doesn't have to be like like you notice that he's so hyper today. I mean, oh, this boy has ADHD, but it's only for today. On the rest of the other times, he's not showing those kind of symptoms. So again, must be showing at least 6 months. Okay, and a lot of the symptoms must have caused problems, okay, difficulties, problems before the age of 12. All right, and then yes, so like this is the most important one. The symptoms have to be developmentally inappropriate. Okay, why inappropriate? Because of the fact that if you compare it with other kids, okay, if you're teaching, if you compare it with other students, are they more or less the same, or are they just slightly just slightly hyper, or just slightly inattentive than the rest? Okay, so they need to be significantly difficult, right? Have significant difficulty, as well as need to be developmentally inappropriate as well. Okay. Okay, so we move on to importance of attention. Okay, so like I said, attention, okay, is very important towards learning. All right, towards learning, towards everything else. Okay, without attention, you are not able to learn, right? Like right now, okay, when you attend this workshop, right, we are only like 40 minutes into the session, but are you all paying attention to me still? No? Yes? I hope you are. Okay, so being attentive during certain tasks is very important, because attention is everything. All right, even when we watch TV, okay, even a lot of our kids, I'm very sure all of you will agree that a lot of our kids, when they watch TV, they are super attentive, right? They can look at the TV for 2 hours, 3 hours straight, right? So what's that? That's actually attention, okay? Attending to the TV, all right? Attending to screen time, okay? So that's why attention is very important. Even without attention, do you think the kids will be able to watch TV for like 2 hours straight? No. All right, so that means the TV has their attention, their full attention. All right. Actually, if you think your kid can pay attention to TV for 2 hours, they are capable of being attentive to other things for 2 hours straight as well. But maybe not straight, but at least most of the time with pockets of break. All right. Okay. So what's the role of attention in learning? Okay. So the role of attention in learning is actually, so that. Oh, sorry. Actually, attention is the process that allows us to take information in. Okay, so without attention, we cannot take in information. We cannot remember. All right. So again, there can be no attention in the absence of interest. What does it mean? It means that for you to have attention, all right, it needs to be of interest to you. All right, that's why you are here, right? Because you're interested in this workshop. All right, that's why you are paying attention to me. All right, so that's and then attention creates readiness for doing a work. Okay, so when we are alert, when we are have full attention, we are ready to do it. Okay, so that's why attention is very important in learning. Okay, so these are characteristics of attention. All right, we have the alertness, the arousal, okay, which is needed to pay attention, and then the selection. All right, we have to identify what deserves our attention. Okay, sustaining persistence. So not only do we need attention, okay, the alertness, but we also need to sustain that arousal, that alertness, okay, so that you can survive this 3 hours workshop. Okay, you need to sustain, but don't worry, like I said, we have a lot of breaks later on, so that will hopefully give you a mental break later on. Okay, and then shifting and divided means that shifting, being able to shift attention when needed, and then you come back to whatever that you're doing. Okay, for example, if you're at home, if you have kids and you're doing your work, okay, but suddenly you hear one of your kids fell down, right? So obviously our attention is not to our work again, to the kid. So after we attend the kid, are we able to shift back to our work? Is our attention back to our work? Are we able to do that? Same goes for the kids. If the kids, this is where especially very young kids, when they're playing games and all that, playing toys, and then they see, oh look, a new toy, something that I've not played with. What do you think the kids will do? Obviously they will shift their attention back to that particular toy, right? And then they will leave all the current toys behind. That's when like for me, if my kid does that, I'll be like, okay, you need to keep if you want to play with that, you have to keep whatever toys that you're playing now. So then so then my kid, my boy, my 2-year-old boy, he has to choose, okay, whether I want to play with the new toy or the current toy. All right, so whether or not they are able to shift back to the current toy and just ignore that, that's also part of attention skills. Okay, so types of attention behaviors. Okay, attention has a few behaviors. Okay, like ADHD, they have 3 types, right? They have the hyperactivity, impulsive, and then the combined, and then the inattentive. Attention behaviors, that's also a few different types. Okay, we have the movers, constantly on the go. They are active, they have difficulty focusing on one task, and then the environment affects their senses. So what does this mean? It means that when they hear something, or when they see something that is more interesting, okay, all their senses, their sight, their hearing, they all light up, and then they will move towards whatever interests them. Okay, so these are the movers. Okay, who are movers here? Okay, constantly on the go. All right, a lot of us do display this. For me especially, I think I'm a mix. All right, I'm a mover when I'm actually a mover when I'm doing workshops. Okay, if you have been to my physical workshop, you will realize that, or when I teach, okay, I like to move around, because when I am moving, it keeps my mind alert. Okay, so I'm actually quite a mover myself. Okay, and then we have the squirmers as well, who are, they don't really get out of their seats frequently, but they will constantly move. They will move. They will fidget with their hands. So this is where, if they're holding a pen, they will like tap the table, or they will bite. They will do things with their hands, with their feet. The tapping, change body positions, and then they are also again easily distracted by any visible or audible stimuli. This is also me actually. When I have to sit down for long hours, I actually can't. I'm actually quite restless whenever I have to sit on the chair. So I will actually move. I will actually rock my chair, rock my body a bit, or I will doodle. Okay, I will doodle, because obviously if I tap is a distraction for others. So one way for me to cope with that is I doodle with my hands, or I shake my feet. But because I'm an adult, so I kind of like am aware whether or not, trying to be aware whether or not I'm disturbing others. So if you really notice me later on, throughout, you can see me there. You will actually notice that I'm actually moving quite a lot. Okay, because when I sit, I do squirm quite a bit, right? And then we have the daydreamer. So the daydreamer is usually who we think pay attention, but sometimes they are not. Okay, so they don't really get up or move. They may fidget on their object, okay, with their pen or pencil, but they have difficulty sustaining their attention. Okay, but it's not considered a problem. Why? Why do teachers or parents think this is not a problem? because they can't see it as a problem, right? When you think ADHD, all right, we don't think of the daydreamers, the inattentive type. We don't see that. Okay, we only see those that are tick, 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 on the go, correct or not, right? But those, if you see very quiet ones, like sitting down, they may be looking at you, but they are actually looking past you. So yeah, they so these are the daydreamers. Okay, so when you ask them questions, they'll be like, um, I don't know. So these are the daydreamers, okay, when they are not attending. Because when they are focused, when they are paying attention to you, they are able to answer you. All right, but if they are not, they may have this difficulty sustaining their attention. Okay. Okay, sorry, before I move on, I realized that if you have any questions, you can go, if you look at my slide, there's questions, go to tinyurl.com/questions to ask. If you have any questions which you do not, which you which you do not want to use the chat for, you can actually drop a question through this link, all right, and then it's anonymous, and then when I do have time, I will answer your question as and when. Okay, so yeah, you can you can ask me questions through that as well. Okay, moving on. So these are the typical characteristics of children with ADHD. We have the preschoolers, okay, the 5 below or 6 below. They usually, display motor restlessness. They're very curious. Okay, everything they want to know. Why, why, mom, why? Okay, these are the why children. Okay, they are very vigorous. Okay, and they often display destructive play, where they play and then they will try to throw, they will break toys and all that. They do not know how to play properly. All right, they're very demanding and argumentative, very excessive in their temper tantrums. When I say excessive, it means not only do they cry, but they scream, they shout, they throw things, they kick and all that. So that's excessive. All right, and then they have low levels of compliance. Okay, low levels of compliance means if you ask them to do something, they totally refuse. Again, it needs to be excessive as well. Okay, like don't tell me out of 5 times you ask them you ask them to follow your instructions, and only 1 time they don't follow your instruction. That is not yeah. Okay, when we talk about low levels of compliance, I mean if you ask them 5 times or 10 times to do something and they are only doing it 1 time, okay, so their compliance level is very low. All right, so now that you have all these, right, you might be thinking, oh no, does my boy has everything? How does that mean he has ADHD? No, not quite. Okay, so again, remember the keyword earlier on when we are talking about the diagnosis. It needs to be developmentally inappropriate. Okay, it needs to be and if you compare with other children, is it the same, more or less, or is it like much over? So we need to think of that. Okay, when we think of ADHD, we need to think that is it developmentally appropriate? Okay, so yeah, at school age, okay, these are the primary schoolers. Whether or not they are easily distracted, they have very disorganized homework or even classwork. They like to blurt out answers. They interrupt. Display aggression. Again, this display aggression, if you look at the preschoolers, okay, it's related to the demanding and the destructive play. And then when they grow older, okay, they like to they display all this aggression. Difficulties in peer relationships, okay, because it may be because they do not know how to wait, turn taking, okay, they do not know how to play nicely, they may snatch things and all that. So these are all will result in poor peer relationships, because when friends see that happening and they might not want to play with you. Okay, so that's where the social skills, okay, the friendship skills come in. And then they may appear to be very immature, because like I said, if they are if they do not know how to play properly, they are always showing a lot of temper tantrums, so they may come across as very immature. Okay, so these are the primary schoolers. All right, so typical characteristics of adolescents with ADHD include inner restlessness. Okay, inner restlessness is like okay, very, very restless. Okay, we don't see it, but they have all their feelings, their emotions are very restless. Okay, they may have 1,001 things that they're thinking about, and then they just feel very restless lah. All right. Sometimes we tell them that, oh, this kid is very emo. Okay, in secondary school, very emo. Sometimes okay, sometimes not. So inner restlessness. Okay, again with the disorganized schoolwork. They have difficulties being independent. They also show the risky behavior. So again, this is actually a grown, I'm not saying risky behaviors come from, if you look back at the aggression. Okay, the aggression will come will rise up into risky behaviors, okay, when they're in adolescence. And then they usually have very poor self-esteem. Although some of them who show risky behaviors, right, they may not show their low self-esteem, but because they show that risky behavior is like an alternate, okay, alternate behavior, okay, alternate alter ego, all right, to downplay the low self-esteem. And again, they have very poor peer relationship, and then they also have compliance issues. Okay, so these are the characteristics of children with ADHD in adolescence. Okay, 13 and above. Okay, these are the kids in secondary school. So I do see a lot of all these kids with all these what's this characteristics, but it does not mean that all of them have ADHD. So again, we need to look at it whether or not is it developmentally appropriate, whether or not is it very different from their peers, okay? Because at this age we need to think about puberty, we need to think about self-image, okay? The kids are all going through all this, so it does play a part, in their characteristics, but it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that if they're showing some of all these characteristics that they have ADHD. Okay, so we need to be very careful with that. All right.
Okay, teacher.
So okay, yes.
Yeah, I have a question here. So,
Sure.
yeah. If let's say those typical characteristic of children with ADHD been identified as early as 3 years old to 5 years old, but the parents don't go for early intervention, or maybe not go to KKH for diagnosis and follow up, will these typical characteristic evolve until their teenage? I mean,
Yes.
like, because the slide here has like a 6 to 12 and then 13 to 18. So if let's say no early intervention going on, so this will be evolved in the children.
Yes, if they do not have any intervention, they do get evolved into other behaviors. So like I said, if adolescents, right, especially the risky behaviors, okay, is actually evolved from this aggression. Okay, the aggression, because risky behaviors referring to stealing, referring to fighting, all this, right? So it does evolve from if in primary school when they display aggression, and then but if you look before that, prior to primary school, they may have vigorous and destructive play. Okay, where they break toys, they do not know how to play properly and all that. So if from very young they have a lot, okay, when I say we have to emphasize on the a lot, okay, on the excessive characteristics, the signs and symptoms, okay, very and they are very, if compared to other kids, they are, you just know that, okay, he has a lot of tics for ADHD. So if they do not have any proper intervention, not say go to EPIC or get diagnosis or what, but if the parents do not intervene to have proper behavior management plan, all right, it can evolve to other behaviors. Okay, so if again at primary school they do not have any intervention, the parents or the teachers don't think is a concern, and then when they go up to secondary school, it can again evolve to other behaviors. So one behavior doesn't mean it gets evolved to just that path only. No, it evolves to according to their age group as well, according to their age. So yeah, I do see a lot of kids, some kids, where their behaviors so-called evolve, because as they grow older, they learn more things, and as they grow older, they see more from their peers, from their teachers, and then and they get very strong as well, you know. So when nothing is being done, they will find other ways to so-called let out their restlessness, okay, if they are if they have that kind of characteristics. So yes, behaviors, if you do not stop that at that point, it does evolve to other major, or I would say more concerned behaviors later on in life. Yeah, so intervention is very important at whichever point you think the child needs. If the case, because sometimes, right, when the kids are at preschool, a lot of parents will think, oh, that's normal, because they don't really understand instructions, perhaps, or if you look at other kids, but the other kids are all the same, right? So again, when that happens, then we have to look at, okay, fine, then we look at the kid when they're in primary school. Are they showing a lot of characteristics at ADHD? And nowadays, one thing about MOE is that they want to capture all these so-called kids, okay, all these students at a very early age. So usually at P1, P2, or even P3, the teachers, if not the psychologists, okay, or the learning behavior specialists, the ADs, LBS, they would, or even the counselors, okay, they would actually capture all these students, be highlighted, and then they would do conferences, case conferences with the parents, and then they will bring in their psychologists if needed, and to see whether or not these kids do have ADHD or otherwise. So one thing about our school system is that they try to catch the kids at a very early age so that they can do intervention. For ADHD, I believe the intervention would be with the counseling, or with behavior modification strategies and all that. Yeah, so, but somehow, if let's say all this, the parents say no, do not want to go for further intervention, do not want to be diagnosed, do not even want the psychologist to come in and help, and then when they are in secondary school, they again display more things. So again, the teachers, the LBS, the counselors will come in to to intervene and help. And then at secondary school, it comes under IMH. The counselors from IMH will come in to do behavior modification strategies, and then they will talk to the parents and all that. So so in Singapore, our mainstream, at least the mainstream setting, we do have quite a rigorous way to get all this, to capture all these students at a very early, as early as we can.
Okay, thank you, Teacher Fal. There's a question from the audience, from Ms. Zahara.
Yep.
How many ticks, or is it required all 7 characteristics to be, to be exposed as diagnosed as ADHD, or is it, what's the minimum characteristic need to be observed in the period of 6 months and more?
Okay, if you look at the video would say 6, but I believe as long as within 6 or more months, they show all these characteristics. A lot of the characteristics are checked, and again, it needs to be developmentally inappropriate. And then they will also find out, in Singapore at least, they will find out from as many settings as possible. So if the child goes to mainstream school, they will, and then goes to maybe other centers for like student care or after school care, and then they will get, the clinician will get feedback from the parents, from the school, and then if he goes to after school care, they will also try to get feedback from the after school care. And then if the child goes to maybe spends a lot of time at the grandparents, they will also try to get feedback from the grandparents or whoever that they that the child often interact with. So again, usually in Singapore, they don't look at it as just at home or just in school, but they do try to get a lot of feedback from others. In secondary school, personally for me, and in primary school as well, I know that when we talk about school, we don't talk about just one lesson, or one teacher. No, we try to find, we try to get evidences of all these characteristics from different lessons, during different lessons, and with different teachers. So for me personally, I will go to at least like I will choose, either English, maths, all these very heavy topics, right? English, maths, science, and then I will also go into lesson observations for lessons like art, DNT, okay, home, FNN, food and nutrition, okay, and then I will also look at them during their recess and PE, and then I will do a comparison. Is the child displaying consistent behavior throughout all these settings? Because in school setting, there's a lot of settings, right? Or is it the child is just behaving like this only with one teacher or only doing one or two lessons? So we have to do a lot of comparisons. So clinicians also do that. Okay, they do a lot of comparison and see whether they have the child display consistent characteristics across all areas. If the child do, then that's when they will highlight and then they will, recommend a diagnosis and all that. Yeah. Okay. Ken, any other questions? So far, I hope I did answer that. Yeah.
Sorry, may I also ask a question? Okay, as we know, ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorders, right?
Yes.
So I believe it is present since childbirth. Am I correct?
Sorry, is
it present since childbirth?
Not necessarily. While it is neurological related, but it does not necessarily comes from since childbirth. Later on, I will explain a bit more because there's a slide for that. Because ADHD can be presented, together with other challenges, with other issues as well. So later on, I will let you know. I will show you the slide. I will touch on that a bit later. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay.
Okay, there's
so right
one
now. Yes.
Sorry. Okay, from Miss Farizan.
Yeah.
Type of food that children eat will affect their hyperactivity and attentiveness. Okay, like sweets and snacks, kind of like that. Diet, maybe. Will it affect?
Yes, actually, it depends. If the child show very strong reactions towards food, because I do know. Like for example, okay, if we don't talk about ADHD, let's just talk about hyperactivity, okay? If my child, my 2-year-old boy, whenever he eats something very sweet, unfortunately he has tasted like smoothies or sweet ice cream and all this. Whenever he does that, you should see his hyperactivity go in overdrive. Like he will run around the house for like a full 30 minutes, just running and running and running. Okay, so some foods, especially in the younger kids, it does affect the characteristics, and then you'll be like, does my child has ADHD? But then if he doesn't eat all this food, you can see that his behavior goes down and he's quite so-called all right. So this is my personal share, because I do know there's a lot of research findings on this, that yes, a lot of research do say that certain foods do attribute to the characteristics, especially sweet foods. Even some will say like gluten and all that. So it really depends on the kid, because not all kids are affected by food. So you have to be very observant. Like for me, I observe from my own child. If he eats all these sweets, he displays like a lot of ADHD characteristics. But if he doesn't eat it, or he is just a little bit, he's actually quite okay. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other questions so far? No? Okay. Can. So I'll move on. Welcome. Okay, so now I want you to do a Kahoot, because I want you to guess the attention behavior. So can everyone go to this kahoot.it? Okay, I'm kahoot.it. Okay, kahoot.it, because we're going to guess the behavior. I'm going to stop share this for a while. Let me see. And set up my Kahoot. Okay, hang on, yeah. Okay, so you went to kahoot.it. Okay, so hang on, I'll give you the pin very soon. Oops, loud. Okay, so it's loading pin. Hang on for a while. Okay, just key in these pins. 6490528. Alright, so if I can have
Tak payah main namanya.
okay. Can we have come on everyone, join in. You don't need to use your real name because I want to see whether you have been paying attention to me or not. Okay. So can we have we have 45 participants, so I'm expecting at least 40 perhaps. Can see, are you all doing it? Okay, a bit more. Okay, 22. Come on, everyone, come. Let's be a bit gung ho, okay? Don't worry, there's no wrong, all right? Don't worry. I will definitely not penalize you for any wrong answers. This is just, just to check on the understanding whether or not you roughly know if you see such behaviors going on, okay? Okay, are we ready? Can we have at least 30? Come on, just 3 more. Or it'll be great if everybody can join in. All right, kahoot.it. Okay, kahoot.it. And then you key in the game pin 64900528. All right. Okay, can we have at least maybe 30? Can? Okay. Let me just wait a few more seconds. All right, great. Oh, somebody just left. Oh no. Okay, very cute. What do we have? Selena Gomez. Really? Wow. I am so honored to have Selena Gomez playing with us today. Okay, since there is others. Okay, I think we shall start. Okay. So are you all ready? So you have to guess the attention behavior. Okay, it's very simple. Don't worry. All right, it's Greece time. Are you all okay? So John is hang on. All right, so look at the behavior. So sorry if it's very small, but I will read it to you, okay? John is constantly wriggling in his chair in school. He does not complete his classwork and is very distracting to others because he is constantly tapping his feet, and laying on his desk. He struggles to focus on the teacher because of environmental stimuli. By the time he controls the wriggling and looking around the room, he frequently misses parts of the lesson. And then John can't sit still in his chair, most likely due to a combination of sensory issues and poor core muscle control. So do you think he's a mover, squirmer, daydreamer? He may also tug at his clothes, chews on his pencil and all objects. So you just choose, pick one, mover, squirmer, or daydreamer. All right. Great. 5 more seconds, everyone. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. So the answer is he is a squirmer. Okay, because he is, fidgeting on in his seat, right? Yeah. So he's a squirmer. Very good, everyone. Okay. He could be a mover as well. Yeah, right. But mover. But because he is seated, right? He's seated, so he's more of a squirmer. Okay. All right. Great. It's very tricky, right? So I'm going to move on to the next one. All of you, wow, look at all the points. So the next question, are you ready? Just 2 questions. So Julie loves science and netball. He constantly talks with her friends in school, loves to run whenever she goes, pushes people to get to the front and does not take turns. Interested in what others are doing instead of her own work. Struggles with a sensory processing disorder and also shows signs of dyslexia. Her body can't stay calm and has poor spatial issues, disregards personal boundaries and is often distracted by noises. She memorized words so others do not immediately recognize her reading delay. However, she cannot sound new multiple syllable words. Okay, and then when looking at reading passage, it looks as though the words are moving around. So what do you think she has? Okay, so what kind of attention behavior is this? Is she a mover, squirmer, or a daydreamer? Let's see. Okay, are you ready? It's a bit tough, it's a bit tricky. All right, let's see. What's the next answer? The mover. Yes, the answer is a mover. Okay, because she likes to move around, right? Okay, great. Excellent, everyone. So moving on. And the last one. Okay, Ted tries very hard to be a good student. He sits up and doesn't move around. Okay, he attempts to pay attention, but is soon looking past the teacher, dreaming about what he will do after school. So when he does listen, he gets very inconsistent messages. Ted is frequently seen fidgeting with his pen and usually has to ask his friend about classwork. Most likely struggles with auditory processing problem, which is a breakdown of what the child hears and what the brain processes. And then recalling what, this can cause extreme difficulty with understanding spoken word and then recalling what was said. That's why he struggles to remember instructions, okay? But he tries very hard to listen. But when he hears, what he hears is very spotty, very inconsistent messages. That doesn't make sense. And so he gives up very easily as well. Okay? So let's see, everyone, almost everyone is answering it. So what do you think he is? He is a, let's see. Yes, oh, this is very easy, right? Such a takeaway, a daydreamer, that's right. Okay, so Ted is a daydreamer. Very good, everyone, yay! So we have, oh, look at that. We have winners, okay? Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of 3 out of 3. Okay, excellent, everyone. Okay, good. Okay, so let's stop that. Okay, so that was fun, right? Yeah, because let me see. This just ensures me that all of you are paying attention to my slides and to myself as well. Okay, let me just put it on slideshow. Okay, let me just check something out. Oh, okay. Hang on. Okay, can. So we've done that. So this is the attention behavior, okay? So again, you will notice that in all 3 cases, I will have also included what is likely why he is why he is having attention behavior. For example, like John, he may have a combination of sensory issues and poor core muscle control. Julie has sensory processing disorder and also signs of dyslexia. And then Ted has auditory processing problem, which means that what he hears may not necessarily be the same as what his brain processes. Okay, so if you notice, all three kids, all 3 students actually do show signs of ADHD. But that does not mean they have ADHD. Okay, so that's why it's very important to know and understand the importance of attention. Okay, the attention behavior. So moving on, so like I said just now, okay, difficulty with pay attention is always associated with ADHD. But we also need to know that attention issues, focus issues, there can be other possibilities as well, such as anxiety, OCD, stress, trauma, learning disorders, as well as motivational issues. Okay, that's why we need to know and understand, when a child has attention issues, focus issues, it does not necessarily mean ADHD. All right, it can come from other symptoms as well, which is why I believe when one of my students, the one that I was telling you earlier, he has a lot of diagnoses when he was in primary school. In fact, before he entered P1, he was already diagnosed with speech and language impairment. And then when he went to primary school, at primary 3, at primary 3 he was diagnosed with ADHD. But then at primary 5 he was diagnosed with dyslexia. Yeah, so so then when I was reading through his reports, his many reports, then I realized, at secondary school level, he is also displaying signs and symptoms of autism. All right, so then we realized, when I sat with the psychologist and we were discussing about his issues, he does not necessarily have ADHD in the first place, but he may have learning disorders. So again, like I said, just because the child has attention issues does not mean he has ADHD. It could be other possibilities. Okay, so then psychologists and we got talking and we realized, yeah, it could be he doesn't have ADHD, but he just has probably dyslexia, just the learning disorder. But a lot of the signs and symptoms of ADHD overlaps with other other symptoms as well. If you look up learning disorders like dyslexia, autism, they do have a lot of signs and symptoms that are very similar to ADHD. Yeah, so we just need to be very careful when we label a child with ADHD. So this is when we need to read up more, and if we are not sure, we try to research or get professionals involved as well to really check whether or not the child do have symptoms of just ADHD or other difficulties as well. Okay. So moving on, I'm going to move on to executive function. Is everybody okay right now? Good. I hope so, because executive function is, I often include this in my slides because I believe that, when we understand what is executive function, we will understand better on why the students behave the way they do. So attention is a big factor on executive function, part of a very big factor. So yeah, so that's why I'm touching on it. Okay, so executive function, what is executive function? Before we go into that, I want you to think about hosting a birthday dinner. When we are hosting a birthday party or a party or any function, right, and you only have 1 week to prepare, what would you do? Okay, I want you to think about it. Your husband or whoever, your teachers, your school tell you, hey, okay, we have 1 week. I want you to organize an event, okay, within 1 week, next week. So what's the first thing that you would prepare? Okay, what is that? Usually what would we do first? We would, we would book the caterer, right? The food first, because food usually you need to book beforehand, right? So we do the booking of the food, and then what would we do? If it's a birthday party, we talk about invitations. Yes, that's right. Okay, very good. Thank you. Invitations. We talk about invitations. Who to invite? Then we write down our list, and then we have to invite everybody, right? What else? We have venue. Very good. Yes, we have to think of the venue. Okay, is it at home? Right now in COVID, unfortunately, if you're doing a birthday party, it will be at home and only limited to how many? Five tags, right? What else? The theme. Very good. The budget. Very good. We have to think of that. Okay, what else? Theme. Then when we have the theme, what do we have to do? We have to buy theme related decorations and all that, right? So what will be the last few things that you would do? Of course, the first one will be food, right? Food or birthday cake, because birthday cakes needs to order at least three days in advance. So you have to do that first. And then the last one would be decoration. The decoration itself, right? Because on the day itself, then you start to decorate, right? Okay, you don't possibly decorate it like 1 week before, like on the day itself, that you want to plan it, then you do decorate it, right? Yeah, cleaning and organization, the decorating usually takes place nearer to the event date. So very good. Okay, a lot of you are giving responses, and that makes me believe that all of you are very great executive function. Okay, so but some of our kids, they do not have great or even good executive function because they do not know how to do all this, how to make a list, how to organize. Okay, so I'm going to explain a bit about what is executive function. Hang on, yeah, I am going to share on Google, on YouTube again. Let me see. Okay, all right. So what is executive function?
Ever wonder why some children are well organized and have an easier time adapting to change than others? It's a result of how certain skills develop in our brains at a young age. Scientists call these skills executive function and self-regulation, which can be thought of like air traffic control in the child's mental airspace. Think of a young child's brain as the control tower at a busy airport. All those planes landing and taking off, and all of the support systems on the ground simultaneously demand the controller's attention to avoid a crash. It's the same with a young child learning to pay attention, plan ahead, cope with frustration, and follow lots of rules.
When executive functioning skills are working well, they're invisible. It's not like you see them in action because they enable children to be a good student, to be a good friend, to learn well. So they're just kind of hidden. It's really when they break down or when a child is really challenged by these capacities, hasn't had a chance to develop them very well, that you see problems.
Kids with well-developed executive function can deal with day-to-day worries, temptations, and obligations that pile up in their minds. They have the skills to regulate the flow of information and prioritize tasks. Executive function is one of the ways we manage stress and maintain an even keel, even as demands on our attention start to pile up. Kids who haven't developed strong executive function have a harder time directing mental traffic. Without the ability to prioritize, thoughts pile up and collisions occur, leading to frustration and anxiety.
First of all, we aren't born with executive functioning skills. Executive functioning skills are capacities that we learn. It's very important that children be in relatively predictable, unchaotic environments that are free of toxic stress, because when we are surrounded by chaos and disorganization, and especially if we're surrounded by fear and anxiety and a world that feels threatening, it's very hard for children to acquire these kinds of capacities.
Like most skills, good executive function depends on a strong brain foundation that develops in our earliest years of life. Caregivers can help by setting a good example with their own behavior, practicing serve and return interactions, and preventing toxic stress. As kids grow up through their preschool years and even into their teens, a stable, predictable environment will help them develop good executive function skills.
Executive functioning skills can be trained and taught. You do not have to give up on a child who has these problems. There are very sensitive periods during the ages from about 2 to 5 or 6, and again during adolescence, when these skills seem to be kind of growing by leaps and bounds. So you have a couple of opportunities, and ideally do both.
The human brain is an amazing thing. With practice, it can learn to pay attention, plan ahead, prioritize, and react to events as they unfold, just like the air traffic control tower at our busy airport. With help from the community, kids can learn the skills they need to thrive in a challenging world.
Okay, all right. So that's a gist of what executive function is all about. Yep. Okay, let me just share my screen again. Hang on. Okay. All right. Okay, so what is executive function? If you if you catch what the video was saying, it is actually a set of mental processes that all have to do with managing ourselves and then our resources, okay, our tasks and all that, in order to achieve a goal. So there are a lot of skills that help us to decide what activities or what tasks we need to pay attention to, and then what we will choose to. And then it also allows us to organize our behavior over time, organize our behavior, our demands and all that, and even for longer term goals as well. So poor executive function has been associated with issues such as ADHD, autism, conduct disorder, peer rejection, and low academic performance. Okay, so I'm going to explain a bit more so that you're going to roughly know what I'm talking about. Okay, so before that, I do have a question here. I'm going to answer one of it. Can share examples of risky behaviors here. I'm so sorry if I did not explain this. Risky behaviors earlier on refers to behaviors which pose high risk either to yourself or to others. So this can be in the form of stealing, fighting, not listening to authorities, not or even if it's a risky behavior to yourself, like back a few years, there was this a new so-called activity going on, which was very hyped up, especially with the adolescents, the parkour, I believe, which means that you climb freehand without any use of safety gears. So we have a lot of kids who climb like car parks and then they jump over to the next block, or to the parapet next block or something like that, so a nearby block and all that. So these are risky behaviors. Okay, risky behaviors are behaviors which pose safety issues. Okay, risky safety issues, or even behaviors which are pose and safety towards others and self. Okay, so that's basically what risky behaviors are. All right. I do have a few kids who did parkour and they injured themselves. So these are all again risky behaviors because they do not know. They think it's cool because all this they watch online and they see all these people doing it and they think it's cool, it's the trend now, so they do it, but they don't realize that it's actually very dangerous. Yeah, and I if you recall a few years ago, there was a lot of news reports on this for the kids. So that's, to me, is a risky behavior, especially for kids who do not understand the safety issue behind it. All right, so so that's risky behavior. Okay, so moving on to executive functions. So we have a lot of executive functions that we need in our daily life. Emotion control, task initiation, organization, and all these goal-directed persistence. Time management is also part of executive skill. But I'm going to touch only on 8. Okay, so the first one is impulse control. So basically, what is impulse control is it means to control us before we act upon it. Okay, so if we have very weak control, we again blurt out things. They just do it on impulse. Okay, because they do not think beforehand. All right, so this is impulse control. All right. And then we have emotional control. Okay, so keeping our feelings in check. If we have very poor emotional control, what do you think will happen to us? We will cry and cry and cry, or suddenly get very angry. We do not know how to control our emotions, or we have difficulty controlling our emotions. So we overreact. Okay. So as adults, you have very good emotional control. You would be very aware of your emotions and then try to control it, especially if you're out in public, and then things happen, so you have to deal or manage it on the spot. So if you have very good emotional control, you can manage it. Otherwise, like for the younger kids, if they're very poor, what would they do? They throw tantrum, right? Especially when you ask them to, okay, let's move on from the toy shop, and the kids go, no, mommy, no, cry and throw tantrum, because they are still developing their emotional control, especially for the younger ones. Okay, yeah. So the third one is flexibility in thinking. So if the kids, or even for us, if we are very if we do not have very strong flexible thinking, that means we are very rigid. Okay, we don't we are not like on the go. All right, they get very frustrated if asked to think about something from a different angle. That's why we get the kids. We when you think about it, flexible thinking is perspective taking, more on perspective taking. They do not understand why they can't do something, because they don't see it from our perspective. They don't see it from a safety perspective. All they know is they want to do it. I want that. I like it. Let's go. Okay, so that's flexible thinking. Then we also have working memory. Now, if you have very poor working memory, you will have trouble remembering. Okay, and then even if they take notes, okay, so even if they take notes, they have very poor working memory. They can't recall. Sometimes I do find that I do have very poor working memory, only towards certain activities or certain things that I will forget that I actually wrote it down. So usually my habit is every day in the morning I will check my planner. I will check a few weeks before, and little notes, or I put a post-it to remind me that I have things going on and all that. So it's just my own strategy to remember things. Okay. So next one is self-monitoring. Self-monitoring is very important, especially when time management is a concern. Okay, because you need to monitor ourselves, whether or not we have time for it, whether we have time for other things or not. Okay, so for example, like right now, I realize it's already 11:30, so I was actually hoping to give you guys a break at 11:30, but I'm going to finish up soon. After executive function, it's just a short break for you guys, so just bear with me for a while. Okay. And then we have the planning and prioritizing. So again, like just now, the example that I gave you, if we are planning for a birthday party, what do you need to do? Okay, then you all plan, right? Put a list and then prioritize which should be done first. Okay, so this is actually a big key executive function in our daily life. Okay. Then task initiation is also very important, because if we, okay, these are, if how to initiate the task. Okay, when we have homework, when we have classwork, or even for housework, how do we know? Can we actually get ourselves moving to actually complete the task? All right. How many of you will procrastinate about laundry? Okay, laundry, especially folding clothes. Okay, I know I am one of them. Why? Because folding clothes takes up a lot of time, and usually I will do it when after everybody is asleep. So at night I will do it, or when my son takes a nap, afternoon nap, then I will fold the laundry, especially when there's nothing going on, then I will okay, fine, let's not procrastinate, and then just get it done. Okay, so that's task initiation for you. And the last one, which I think is very important, is organization. Okay, so if you are very weak with organization, you can lose your train of thoughts. Okay, not only your thoughts, but also your physical items. Okay, your handphone, your homework, pencil, even something like your glasses. Okay, if you have very weak organization skills, you will forget where you put them. Yeah, so that's these are the 8 key executive function which you need to function well in daily life. So if you think about it, right, in inefficient learners, okay, they do have difficulty organizing multiple mental activities. Okay, so even in class, if they have very poor executive function, it doesn't matter which, but you will realize they do struggle with classwork, or even with homework. They do struggle because they may have difficulty, or they may have weak certain parts of executive function, 1 or 2 maybe weak, so that's why they are having difficulties. Okay, and then they also struggle with self-regulatory activities like checking ourselves, monitoring, revising. Okay, very important. Right now is the exam period coming. Do the kids have that ability to initiate on their own, to revise, to study, to do their homework? Okay, and a lot of these kids, if they have very weak executive function, they also lack the strategies for learning. Okay, they do not know how to highlight properly. They do not know that when we highlight something, it doesn't mean highlighting the whole sentence, right? It just means highlighting the keywords. So a lot of the kids, they do not know this. Okay, so that's when we have to come in and really teach them, literally teach them how to highlight, what to look out for, and all that. Okay, they lack the cognitive flexibility, and they have difficulty sorting and prioritizing information. Okay, so for example, like now is the exams period, right? So if let's say Monday is the maths paper, and then Wednesday is the science paper, but then some kids, they think, oh, maths no need to study, so they study for the science instead. But actually maths is, you do need to study in the sense of practicing. So when you practice more, you know how to use that working, you know how to use that strategy, right? So that's where if you are very weak executive function, you may not be able to know how to prioritize that information. Okay, so overall, okay, because this workshop is about hyperactivity, okay, after looking at executive function, the importance of attention, do you really think it's ADHD now? If you think of your child or your student, you think hyperactivity, okay, is said that it needs to be outside the typical range of the key symptoms of ADHD, right? So that's why only a clinician, okay, a psychologist, should collect all this comprehensive information from several people, like I said, okay, over an extended period of time, to make an accurate diagnosis. And then it's also important, this is why I will have to emphasize, okay, you have to know that the child's ability to pay attention needs to be compared to others his own age, okay, not just in the level. Okay, for example, okay, this is a bit confusing. For example, if the child is in P1 and this particular child is a December baby, all right, December baby, but then in the class, of course, everybody has are born in different months, right? So when P1 all are supposedly 7 years old, but this little kid come in, he's a December baby, so he's technically just turned 6. But then you are comparing his attention level with somebody from maybe a January baby who is obviously, already 7 years old. So do you think it's fair to compare that a just 6-year-old kid with a 7-year-old kid? So it's actually very important for you to take note of that, whether or not the child is a December baby, a January baby, or things like that. But however, it does not mean all the December babies, will show symptoms of ADHD. No, it does not mean. I'm just saying that when we are talking about attention, just attention skills, are we comparing it, properly in terms of the skills needed? Okay, but the kids do get mature, the brain do mature as years go by, as months go by. So then you have to actually make it comparable to kids around his age, okay, and not just across the level. All right, so that's just something that you need to take note of. Okay. Okay. All right. A lot of information, right? Are you all overloaded already? Overloaded with info right now. Okay, we're going to take a short 5 minutes break. You may switch off your video and all that, but it's now 11:36. Okay, 11:35, 36. Can we come back at 11:40, 11:41? This break is just to, for you to move around, look out of the window, so that it's get away from the screen time a bit. Okay, so let's just take a 5 minutes break and then come back in 5 minutes time. Okay, you can go for your toilet break as well. All right, I see you guys in 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. See. Okay, everyone, I hope you're back. I'm going to give you guys another minute before we start. Okay, I hope you guys did some stretching because it's going to be another part, okay, talking about strategies. All right, so just few more seconds, 30 more seconds perhaps, and then we will continue with our workshop, okay? Okay. All right. All right. Okay, is everybody back? I hope you are, because I'm going to start right now. Let's see. Yes, thank you for responding. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ustazah Zubaida. Okay, so let's move on. I hope it has been an enriching sharing so far. I hope there are a few takeaways so far, okay, about the signs and symptoms and all that. I'm just going to answer very quickly some of the questions that came in, like, can children have multiple learning disabilities? Yes. Actually, quite a lot of the students that I see do have multiple learning diagnoses, okay, like ADHD, autism, like the one that I said. My student has 3 diagnoses, plus ADHD, dyslexia, and speech and language impairment. All right, I do come across students with conduct disorder who also has dyslexia. Yeah, actually, there's quite a lot of students in the mainstream schools, especially, who do have multiple diagnoses. Okay, so yes, it can happen. How can we help intervene proper behaviors? Okay, so I'm going to go through the strategies, learning and teaching strategies. So I do hope I will answer that question. And then the next question is how to help myself as a parent to have an intervention plan. I'm a mother of 4 and I cannot be consistent and monitor closely. Okay, so again, I'm going to share with you some strategies which may help you at home. But again, you know, when we are at home setting as a parent, I totally do understand, you know, that we cannot be consistent and monitor closely, but we do what we can. We do however that we can to help our child. So even if you can't be consistent, but at least whether or not you make the effort to actually start, to actually do something about it, that means a whole lot. Okay, and I really do applaud parents who do want to start, okay, who do want to help their child. So any start, no matter whether, you know, you can do it every day, 7 days a week, or, you know, you want to start 3 times a week, as long as you start helping, as long as you start doing or trying out things to help your child, it does, and it can make a difference. Okay, so no worries about that. All right, so without much further ado, we shall continue. So you will see that my strategies will be divided. There are some that are general strategies, and then there are some which can apply to in the school setting only or at home setting. And then I've also included you know, for the virtual classroom setting, which is for both the teachers as well as the parents at home, on how to manage the child. Okay, yeah, okay, so let's move on. Okay, everyone ready? All right, so one of the things that we need to understand, okay, when we are putting in the learning process, okay, is that attention plays a vital role in teaching learning processes. Okay, so again, like I said earlier, without attention, learning cannot be effective. Okay, because obviously, you know, to learn something, we need to pay attention to it for it to be effective. So a lot of kids with hyperactivity, they have very short attention span. Okay, especially for the very, very, very young kids. Okay, they really have very short attention span. I believe you'll be lucky enough, so-called, if you can get 10 minutes with your preschooler. Okay, 10 minutes at one go. Like really, when I say, pure attention, really sit down, they're looking at you, they are absorbing anything. They are totally in the zone, looking at you. Okay, just looking at you, cannot be like look at their friend. So when they're looking at their friend, that means the attention is already distracted, right? But a matter of whether they can shift, their attention to you back is fantastic. Okay, so even as adults, we cannot we cannot be attentive all the time. For if we can get half an hour, it will also be great, right? Because as adults, we also have other stimuli coming in. Like I'm actually by the window, so I'm actually looking out whether or not to see whether is it a windy day. I see the tree swing and all that. It does it does distract me a bit. But yeah, so again, as adults, we must also be understanding towards the kids whether or not they are fully attentive to us. Can they be, can they shift their attention back to us or not? Okay, so that's a difference. Okay, but we can train longer attention. How? If you're a teacher, okay, if your lesson is very long, okay, like half an hour, okay, so then you try to break your lesson into like small timings, okay, for like from 10 minutes to 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and then make it longer, 30, and then etc. So when I say train longer attention span by increasing the period of continuous lesson time, so that doesn't mean like you teach 10 minutes, stop, and then that's it. No. Okay, so in between there need to be some breaks. Now these breaks that I put here 5 to 15 minutes break in between, but it does not have to be that long. It could be a short mental break, like what I just gave you, a 4-5 minutes toilet break, just to move and then come back. Or it could as easily as, if you notice, one of my strategy was after I did the PowerPoint slides and all that, what did I give you? I gave you again, right? We did again. So that's also a break, a mental break, because games or anything that shift away the focus from your lesson is actually already a mental break. Okay. So even though the game was actually associated, has correlation with my workshop, with the attention characteristics, right? We're talking about that. It serves as a mental break for you. Okay, so that you are not just focused listening to my voice, listening to the to the info and all that. But yeah, so a break can be anything as long as it's away from what you're actually what you actually want the kids to focus on. Okay, yeah. So, okay, this is also very important. Establish a proper learning environment, especially for kids who has attention issues. You need to know where to sit the kids. Okay, if you're a teacher, okay, in a classroom setting, you need to know if a child who is very distracted, okay, would you who is easily distracted by things, would you actually position a child beside the window or beside the door? No, right? You would want them to be away from all these distractions. So you put them in the first few rows near to you, near to the front row, so that when we are in front teaching, we can, and if the child is so distracted by a prolonged time, we can just go by. No need to say anything. You can just knock on the table, or you can put your hand on the shoulders. Okay, appropriate touches. Okay, put your hand on the shoulders as you walk by, but you're still teaching. So it doesn't have to draw attention to the student, but just subtle things that you can do to actually make the child stop being distracted and come back to you. All right. And if you're a teacher, if you have very good model students, you can also get the students to help you. Get the student back on track. Like I said earlier, do not place the student near high traffic areas, doors or windows, and appoint model students who are willing to help. Now, when you appoint model students, you also need to take note that these students, they also experience, they also experience, oh no, the word just came out of my brain already. Okay, model students who you need to change regularly, okay, so that they don't experience being tired to always assist that student. Okay, so you need to regularly change, rotate the model students, so that they don't experience burnout. Okay, that's the word I'm looking for, burnout. Okay, so that they don't experience burnout. Okay, because it does happen. Okay, especially if there's only like 1 or 2 kids helping out, just one student, even though they're happy with just one student, but it can take a toll on them. Okay, especially if it's like for a few weeks or for throughout the whole year. So I do try to tell teachers to regularly rotate, maybe once a term. Okay, and then maybe not get just one student, but a group of students, and then you train them on how to help the student. Okay, so if you're a parent, at home, how you establish a proper learning environment is usually, so again, do not sit the child near high traffic areas. Okay, away. Find a very boring wall, or not say a boring wall, but away from distractions. Okay, because at home you will realize later on when I talk about the virtual learning, at home there's a lot of stimuli, a lot of distractions for the kids. Okay, really a lot. So I will explain further later on. Okay, so giving instructions. Okay, right?
Teacher,
Important. Yes.
Teacher Fa, if I may, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, when you say about appointing model students in class to help the child with hyperactivity, right? Do we actually brief the model students like, we need to help this your friend here because he has, or do we need to disclose his identity or something
Diagnosis.
like
Okay.
that?
All
Yeah.
right.
Is it, or we need transparent with the model student, something like that?
Okay, this is actually a very sensitive topic, because especially if the parents themselves have difficulty disclosing the info to the school, right? So if you're a teacher, you can play it 2 ways. Okay, one is everybody has buddy system. Okay, that way when everybody has a buddy system, so it doesn't really put a spotlight on that particular student, right? So you can do that. Or if you really need like a special group of students to take care of this student, what I usually do is I do not disclose the diagnosis personally, even if the parent are open to it. Okay, especially for like kids with ADHD, I don't really disclose it to them, but I would just say that, okay, your friend has attention issues, okay, difficulties. So if you see him, looking away, playing away, not paying attention, can you just like, give him a nudge and make him like pay attention to the teacher. So I really don't use diagnosis. I don't really disclose the diagnosis to the other students, because there's always the possibility of bullying. Even if you tell the group of friends, or the group of students, don't tell anybody, but kids, right, kids being kids, they will somehow, even other kids, hey, how come you're just helping this particular boy, then the kids can just nonchalantly, like, tell them, oh, because he has, etc., etc. So I really so it really depends. Okay, especially in secondary school, a lot of bullying cases do happen because they see, hey, he's different. Okay, so they do, unfortunately, it does happen in every school, even the good schools. Okay, the better students, so the better schools or whatever, but it does happen in all schools. It's just that the degree of bullying is different. It differs from school to school. Okay, so to me personally, I do not disclose, but I will just tell them I will tell them the observable behavior. Okay, I call them observable behavior. That means if the child has attention issues, I would just say, oh, your child, your friend actually, is very distracted a lot. So if you see him being very distracted, can you just nudge him, tell him to pay attention? That's all. Yeah. So it really depends on of course, if the parent themselves do not want to be disclosed, you don't tell them, right? But if the parents are okay, then is the school's judgment call, right? But personally, for me, I do not. Even when I do class sharing, class awareness sharing, I do not disclose the student who has it. When I do SEN sharing in class, I will tell them, okay, these are the diagnoses. Sometimes you will see, everybody is different. I'll say everybody is different. Okay, you and I, we have learning. We have different ways of learning, and we also behave differently, right? So some of you will see some friends, behaving this, but that doesn't mean they are that they are very different from us. No, okay. So everybody. So I try to put it in that kind of perspective where they look at it as, oh yes, everybody is different, right? Yes, that's right. Okay, best to exercise discretion. It is true. Again, so it really depends. If they are best friends, or if the parents themselves tell the students, that's a whole different thing. Okay, because we didn't tell them, right? It's the parents who disclose the info. So really, but coming from me, I do not. I try my best not to, especially if it's about learning diagnosis. But for like students with who are deaf, who have difficulties hearing, or who have visual impairments and all that, I do disclose only because, for one thing, is an is a very obvious trait, and then and everybody needs to know who they are helping with. So, but again, with the blessings from the parents, and with the blessings from the parents, and then I will disclose. Otherwise, I will not. But I will just tell a few, students that they have. That their friend has this and that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and especially in secondary school, I believe when you tell a group of friends about the condition and all that, sometimes they do feel paiseh, they do feel embarrassed about it. So we really need to take note of that. Okay. So again, if at secondary school level, what I do is not only that, I also will tell the student beforehand. I'll tell the student beforehand, is it okay for me to tell a group of friends to help you out? Okay, so I will actually negotiate with the student about the comfort level of himself. How comfortable is he having this group of buddy helping him? Yeah, so only at secondary school level do I do that. Or those older ones, like in the upper primary, I will approach the students first, because yes, it does take a village, right? I will, and also I do not want the student to feel that they're different. All right, I do not want the child to feel inferior or less than everybody else. Yeah, so when I do tell the teachers, okay, you can implement these kind of strategies, but at the same time, you need to take note of how the class is behaving towards the child when you appoint model students. Okay, so yes, to me, a whole class approach is the best. Get a buddy system for everybody, and also rotate everybody's buddies. Okay, so again, so that they don't get overwhelmed or burnt out. Okay, all right. Let's move on. I hope that answered the question. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is giving instructions. Okay. Giving instructions is very important, right? Because in class setting, especially, every day we give instructions, right? Everything, almost everything is an instruction, a class instruction. So if you are very if you have key instruction, a very big instruction, it's always best to write those on the whiteboard. It doesn't have to be long, just the keywords. Emphasize the keywords by writing on the board and then checking for the students' understanding. Okay, this is very important, because especially for those children who are very hyperactive, or those like daydreamers, you need to check them. Okay, is everybody does everybody understand the instruction? Okay, so then you will go up. Of course, you will go up to the student and say, okay, what do you need to do? Then if the child can tell you, then good, it means the child understands you, right? Yeah. And then it's always good to involve various senses during lessons. Okay, use colorful materials, hands-on, especially for the movers and the squirmers. All right, it's always excellent to use props, or to use interactive teaching styles. Okay, same goes at home. If you're teaching something, if your child is teaching, if you are teaching maths to your child, use manipulatives. Okay, which are quite if you can't afford to buy, it's okay, you can use whatever that you see at home. All right, use your utensils for counting, or use papers, tear them out or cut them out, so that they are more interactive, more hands-on. Okay, So you can do that, and then keep lessons short and introduce a variety. Okay, variety to stimulate interest. Okay. So again, I always think, if you're teaching maths, it's the best because maths, there's a lot of things that you can do, a lot of manipulatives. But like for English, for something a bit more draggy like English, it can be hard. But there's also, that's where the technology comes in. Kids love technology now. You can make games, you can show them videos, you can do this and that. So yeah, try to get a whole lot of all this lesson materials to get that stimulate that interest from them. Okay, so enhance listening skills. Okay, so how do we enhance? We need to have structure and routines for lessons. Okay, when we put in routines, right, it gets easier, and then the kids know when they have to pay attention. I mean, obviously, right, kids, they usually respond better to routines. So then state directions clearly and simply. Minimize clutter on handouts. If you see your handouts, I do not have the background pictures and all that because I want to minimize the clutter. And then teach students memory aids. Okay, this is one of the more successful strategies I find when I teach kids with ADHD especially. Or even other learning disorders. Memory aids. I will show you a video about the memory aids later on. Encourage problem solving with minimal adult involvement. Why do we have to do this? Okay, whenever kids have encounter problems, what do we usually do? We quickly dive in, right? Especially if the kid has a special need, right? A learning disability. We usually like, okay, never mind, it's okay, if you do not know, come, let me help you. But instead of doing that, why not you encourage him? Say, okay, why not you think about other ways to solve the issue, or other ways in which you can start your work. So if it's homework, like for example at home, if the child has a composition they have to write, then you can offer them like an alternative. You can say like, okay, if the child is very savvy with their computer, you can ask them, why not you type it out first. Okay, and then after you type out, then you transfer it to written, to write. Or if you or if you negotiate with the teachers, if they allow for submission through typewritten submission, you can also do that. You can try. You can see whether teachers are flexible to accept such work assignments. But encourage that. Okay, not just to help out. Oh, okay, come, let me help you. Totally sit down, because you have to think. When they grow older, do you want to always be beside them as they do their work? Okay, when they're in secondary school, if they are at preschool now, maybe it's of course it's okay. But then as they grow older, if you're always beside them, helping, overseeing them, do you think that is appropriate at secondary school level if they're so used to it? So you need to know when to encourage these problem solving skills, to step back, know when to step back and when to really help out. Okay, so usually problem solving, I would tell the teachers and parents to offer a few options for the student, and then see which works out best for the student. Okay, and then maintain eye contact during verbal instruction. Okay, so again, when you are giving them instructions, try your best to get them to look at you, when you're giving the instruction, because when you look at somebody as they're giving instruction, it sends the signal straight into your brain, because you are paying attention, right? Straight away you are paying attention to the person. All right, but again, if the child is not really looking, okay, when I say not looking, I mean like doing this, not looking at all, or being very distracted with something, then you need to call him out and at least look at your direction, or stop whatever he is doing, and then you give out the instruction. Okay, that way then they can listen. Okay, enhance the listening skills. All right. Okay.
Teacher Fa, there's a question from the audience by
Yep.
Miss Nur Hadija.
Yep.
Do we need to create a different worksheet for the class and separate the worksheet for the child with ADHD?
Okay. This is really up to the teachers as well as the student. Okay. If at secondary school level, I would not really encourage it unless the student has really great difficulties following that worksheet, because is if you think as a teacher, we actually have a lot of things, especially if you're a secondary school teacher or primary school teacher, a lot of things. You have to do marking, preparing worksheets and all that. So if a parent or if you think of to consider differentiated worksheet, okay, we call it differentiated worksheets. It really depends whether or not you think it will be beneficial for him in the long run. Because when you do it often, right, but without fading it, then the child will not know. But then when it comes to like exams, okay, national exams or year-end exams and all that big exams, do you really think the child will be used to like a standard exam paper? Because technically at national exam, there's no everybody's worksheet standard. As everybody's exam papers are standard. Okay, so only some, yes, they do have accommodations like larger fonts, or one-sided printing and all that. But if you think about that, if you do it often enough, if you do differentiated worksheet every day for everything, do you think the child will be able to manage when it comes to the exams, when they have standard worksheets? So you need to really be careful about doing that. Initially, yes, you can do it, of course, but then how do we fade off that so-called differentiated worksheet to make it more standard, so that the child learns how to cope with such worksheets? Okay,
I just want to share my class experience. Yeah. So it is upon the teachers. I feel like it's upon the teacher's expectation, but with the kids with ADHD, I have to lower down my expectation on him. Like for example, if I have a set of a paper, exam paper or test paper with 5 questions, for example, all right. For the rest of the kids, they can answer it like in 10 minutes time or 5 minutes time. But then for the kids with ADHD, I will give them like, I will talk to him like, okay, can you finish up 2 questions, at least 2 questions in 5 minutes time? All right, then they will take times and do it, and then okay, after that I want you to take a break or something, come back again and do the rest of the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how I do in my class.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which is also great, because then you are differentiating your instruction instead of the worksheet. Okay, so yes, a lot of kids they do a lot of kids with ADHD, they do have extra time, only if they're diagnosed. Okay, they do have extra time, they do have that for the national exams as well as their common tests. So you can do that as well in the classroom, where if you think the child really have difficulties attending to the worksheet, you can tell them, okay, why not you complete the first 5 worksheets and then do the rest at home, or do the rest after school and then you submit it to you another day. So that flexibility in accommodating to his difficulties is also acceptable. Yeah, so you don't necessarily need to differentiate all the worksheets. It really depends on you. Okay, so yes, thank you, Ustazah Zubaida, for that sharing, because yes, it is a very good strategy, which I do recommend to teachers quite a lot, especially if the kids have great difficulties because of their processing issues. So they do take a while to complete the worksheets. Okay, so this is an example of a memory aid which yes, that's right. Okay, there are many ADHD diagnosed students who are fast workers. Yes, and then you will realize after that, very fast workers, but then they also kind of do careless mistakes. I do have a lot of kids who are like that. So they, even though they are doing it fast, you need to also teach them how to check their answers. Okay, yeah. But again, not all the kids need that, it really depends on the kid. So it's really highly individualized, okay, your teaching strategies. Okay, so anyway, back to this self maths. I'm going to show you just one video. This is more applicable to subjects like science or history or geography, where you need to have the definition, okay? But it is a great tool to increase the knowledge through memory, okay, to strengthen your working memory. Okay, so I'm going to show you the video. It's actually wait. Yeah, there's actually no music, no voice as well. It's just video, okay? So self maths is basically it's basically just answering, thinking the answers, saying the answer aloud, okay? Okay, I can't get the audio on, so okay, let me just show you another video instead of this because it's quite lengthy. Okay, I show you this instead. Okay, so self maths is basically a set of cards which you create on your own, whereby one side of the card has the definition, and then the other side of the card is all the terms. Okay, so I'm going to show you this video instead. I hope there's sound. Okay.
Verbal stimulus, establishing operation, surrogate condition motivating operation, evocative effect, value altering effect, tact, reflexive condition motivating operation, evasive effect, copying.
Oh, okay. You got cut halfway. But basically what the video is saying is that you, like I said, one side of the card is all the definition, okay, the lengthy definition of it, and the other side, as you can see from the bottom part, is the term. So basically, as the child memorizes all the terms, they are also memorizing the definition, right? So this card, when you are doing it, you are supposed to, when you're reading the definition, for example, like in this video, you're reading the definition, but then when you're reading it, you are supposed to say aloud the term, okay, the term for that definition. So then you turn it, that's why you can see this person, when they are reading the definition, they actually saying the term. So if they will put it in two piles. One pile is the term that is correct, okay, the correct pile, and the other one is incorrect. And they have to do all this within a minute. Okay, say it fast, right? Sorry. Say it fast. So within a minute, they have to actually see how many cards that they can get correct within a minute. And when they are able to achieve that, they will take note of the timing, and then every day for about 5-10 minutes, okay, doesn't have to be very long, they actually will practice the term. They memorize the term, they memorize the definition, and then they test it out, okay, using this. So you can read out a bit more about self maths, because I find that I taught this self maths to my students in secondary school as well as in primary school. Primary school, there's science, right? So I do teach them this, and I believe, like, if Malay, you're taking Malay, you can teach peribahasa, all right, peribahasa idioms, all right. Then it also helps the students to actually learn, because they are fighting against, not say fighting, they are competing against themselves to do better, to get as many correct as they can within a minute. But if there's a little bit of cards, like less than 10-20 cards, you can shorten the time to 30 seconds. All right, so they are actually competing against themselves, seeing whether or not they get better and better and better in the correct pile. So you actually have to make a table whereby the kids can track their progress. Okay, so it actually, when I did this with my students were not too bad. within a week they are able to see the progress very well. Like within like from day one they may get like 5 correct versus 25 wrong, but then at the end of the week they're able to achieve 25 correct and 5 wrong. Yeah, but again they spend about 10 minutes, I believe, every day to memorize the term. Okay, to memorize the term, and then they spend another 5 minutes to test out, to carry out the whole procedure, the SAS maths, and see whether they can get the terms or definition correct. Okay, so you can read out a bit more of the on SAS maths online. It's well researched and well documented, and it's proven to be successful, especially to memorize terms. Okay. So I'm so sorry the video is not proper at the moment, but yeah, I will share with you the video link later on after the workshop, when Ustazah Zubaida give you a follow-up email after this. Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay. So another strategy is while giving out work or assignments is giving one task at a time. Okay, making give one task at a time. Okay, this means like you do not give like a whole bunch of tasks at a time, because I know like some teachers, they when they do especially giving out homework, right, they will say, okay everyone, this is what you need to do from your workbook. I want you to do pages 79 to 81, and I'm going to give out this worksheet, and you have to complete all the worksheets as well as your homework. It's actually a lot of tasks, okay, at one go. So the best is, you tell them, okay, I need you to complete pages 79 to 81. So you write it down, okay, pages 71. I believe a lot of schools are doing that, right? Pages 79 to 81. And then you wait for them to write down or, indicate on their workbook, making sure you pay a bit more attention to the students who need it, making sure they are circling the right pages, because that's very important. And then you give out the next task. Okay, why we do that is because so that they know what to focus on at the present time. If you're giving them a lot of tasks at the same time, they are not sure usually. They get very overwhelmed with what to focus on. Okay, even for the kids with who are hyper, when you do that, and because they don't understand, they are already very restless. They don't understand. They are not paying attention to you, especially if you are doing a lot of things at the same time. Okay, so giving one task at a time is good. Make sure that you are testing knowledge, not their attention span. So again, when you're giving out, when they're doing classwork, like Ustazah Zubaida says, maybe they can do like 3 questions within 10 minutes, and then the rest take a break, a very short break, and then come back again. So again, you're testing the knowledge and not the attention span. All right. Encourage the use of a notebook to write down. This is very standard. And get parents to sign off. Okay, why to get parents to sign off is so that the parents know and acknowledge that the kid, the student, especially the younger ones, have homework or have things to do or have projects, so that they will also know and they can also keep track. Okay, so like earlier one of the participants say, it takes a village to raise a child, which is true. Okay, it doesn't mean you send the kids off to school. It's all the teachers' work, all the teachers' responsibility to teach the students. Well, yes, it is, but at the same time, they spend an awful lot of their daytime or nighttime at home. So it's also the parents' responsibility to make sure that the students are doing the classwork needed, okay, are doing the homework that is needed. Okay, so that's why you need to get the parents to sign off on the homework. Okay, give more time for work given for the test. This is, like I said, if your child is diagnosed, you can request for extra time only if the child needs it. Okay, yeah. Again, class test, it really depends on the school. But usually during during the mid-year and the end year, the school do give extra time for those who are eligible for it. Okay, provide ample time for homework assignments. Be clear about the due date, the required number of pages, format, and materials. Because a lot of kids with ADHD or even other learning disorders, they can especially if it's a new kind of classwork or homework, like projects, okay, project-based homework. A lot of kids especially when they are in upper primary or secondary school, where they encounter a lot more subjects, right? They do not know or understand what is required of the teachers. So as teachers, we need to tell them exactly the format, the materials. If you have a minimum number of pages, let them know. Just like composition, we will tell them, okay, you need to write at least 150 words. So you need to tell them all these specifics as well. Okay, and then if possible, if you want to, you can also provide a model structure of the assignment on the project. Okay, so if it's an annual project that you always do with all the classes, so you can show pictures of how it's supposed to be done, or examples of it. But also you must tell the students, you cannot copy from your past students. You need to do it on your own. Okay.
Okay, Teacher Fa, how
Yes.
about for the preschool setup? Like for the 3 to maybe 6 years old, right? Especially the young learners, the 3 to 5,
Yep.
3 to 4. Okay,
Yes.
I believe that for the preschool setup, they have activities to do, for portfolio and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
But with the child with ADHD, right, they tend to, run around, like they don't really focus on their main task. Okay, so how do we manage this the preschoolers? I think this is one of the question by one of the audience.
Okay.
Okay, do we allow them to do whatever they want until how is it? Because this child mentioned by Miss Shahira, she loved to go around
Move
the
around.
classroom. Yeah, move around or go around the classroom. So
Okay.
how is it?
All right. Usually for the younger ones, when I was teaching preschool last time, the teachers that I encounter, I do give them an option. Okay, if your class is really big and you are just alone, which I believe a lot of the preschooler teachers do this. Okay, they don't really have a teacher assistant with you or a co-teacher. You have two options. One is to allow that. Okay, and then you come back to that child one-to-one. You can do that, but at the same time you need to understand and know when the child is moving around, the other kids will see, right? And then the other kids will start questioning, why she can go move around, so why I cannot, why I can't? And then, or the child moves around and then starts playing and then destroying things, and then you have to okay, everyone quickly rush through the lesson, and then so that you can attend to whatever the child is doing. Okay, so it really depends. For me, or you can also do, you can let the child move around, but with boundaries. Okay, with boundaries, it means that you give them a space, like, okay, you can only go to this learning corner, only here. And if you know your student enough, you would understand, her strength, her interest. Then you leverage on that. Okay, so if the child is a reader, you can say, okay, you can only go to the library and read. You can't move to other corners. You close down the corners. Okay, make it into your routine. Because preschoolers, we are all about routines, right? We are all about routines. We are all about, giving the kids, rules, right? Where they can go, how they can go about it. If they want to change corners, they have to, maybe some teachers do, put their names. They can only enter maximum like 5 names, and then you say, okay, this learning corner is closed, you can't enter it. So again, you are allowing that flexibility for her to move out of your lesson, but at the same time putting in boundaries so that she's also within your control. Because you still need to be able to see what she's doing. You still need to know that she's safe, right? So you can have that, and then you can do a one-to-one. If that's not possible, you can, if the child doesn't really roam around, but just fidgets and move around, but not pay attention, you can also get her to sit away from you, not really like beside you or in front of you, but maybe beside the whole class. Give her, a space. You can tell, okay, this is your space. Put a boundary line, and then give her activities, fillers, okay, coloring or whichever that makes her, sit down and then do work. You can also do that, and that way the kids won't see her going to the corners, and then you can come back to her and do one-to-one. If she can do big large group, you can, and then you have no time for one-to-one, then you have to do, I would suggest do small classroom, maybe break 2 into 2 smaller, So while you're teaching one small half of the class, and the other half goes to the learning corners, to the quiet learning corners, and then see whether that helps her, in her focus. It could be that, then you need to find out why is she moving out? Why is she so hyper that she can't be within that learning space? Is it the class is too big, it's too noisy? Or is the teaching instruction too heavy for her? Does she not understand your instructions and all that? Because at very young age, at preschool age, we need to know why she's not attending. It doesn't mean she is has ADHD, but it could mean she has other learning disabilities, other learning disorders. So we need to find out a bit more on why she's behaving that way. But yes, she can move away. It's really depending on the teacher's discretion. But for young kids, there's usually trial and error, a lot of trial and error for the kids. But in terms of assignments, work, and collecting portfolio, that's where, if the child is not diagnosed, the parents do not think that she has any issues, then that's where you can say, okay, I tried a few strategies with this child, but she can only do, then you can show the parents, she can only do this, and within only like 15 minutes or 10 minutes in fact, but she can't do like a large group assignment, or not say assignment, I mean a big group teaching. Yeah, so portfolios are usually about class, I mean the students' work, observations and all that, right? So it's also a great way to tell the parents that I do have difficulties with the child do have difficulties attending to the lessons. Is there, how can we help the child further? Okay, so in terms of collecting work for the portfolio, try out doing very simple things first. If the child is really having difficulty, then try out things that are of high interest for her. Doesn't have to be related to your lesson. Just get her, your step is to get her to be involved, right? So find her interest, find what she likes, and then try to tweak it and put it into your lessons for her. If you're able to do one-to-one, then you can do that. If not, then you have to think of how to like put I saw just now how to put in rewards for the child, or things like that. Okay, so that's for the very, very, very young kids. Yeah, but in terms of primary school, when you're in primary school, you can also do the reward chart, but you also need to tell everybody, you have to tell everybody what's your expectation as a teacher. Okay, as a teacher, what are they expected to do when you are teaching? When teacher is teaching, what are the expected behaviors the students need to display? Okay, so that's the part that is very important, and then you can put in the reward chart. Okay, all right. You are welcome, Shahira. Okay, let's move on. Supervision and discipline. So, in any of the cases, right? Even if the child is shouting, moving around, like running around, all that, we as teachers and parents, we need to always remain calm. Okay, because when we are calm, the students see that you are calm, and then they will be calm. And then when they are very calm, okay, we can tell them what has gone wrong. Try not to argue with the child. Like if you're outside in public, for example, you don't say, "No, you can't. We have to go out. We can't stay in the toy shop. We have to go out." But mommy, I want this. No, you can't. Then you start to big argument and all that. Okay. So again, when that happens, just stop, remain calm. Just let her finish. Okay, when I say finish, I don't mean like 10 whole minutes. No, let her just become. Usually, when you allow the child to just throw it out, right, they will get calmer eventually. By all the stares from others and all that, but just remain calm. Just be there for your child, and then hug the child. If he allows it, and then when the child is coming, just go out. Don't keep on saying, but we have to go out. You can't do this. And okay, that's again arguing with them. Okay, so just stop, Okay, when child starts, that's just go. Okay, so same as in class. Okay, you don't fight. You don't tell them, John, stop running around. Come sit here. No, I don't want to. No, I said. Okay, so again, when we are doing that, we are also disrupting the rest of the class. And then so the best is if you want, if that happens, you just tell the class, okay, why not you sit down for a while, do something, and then you quickly tend to the student. Okay, and then describe what should have been done. Okay, when you do this, what should have been done, make sure the child is calm, not angry, not like feeling sad or whatever. It could be, it does not even have to be on that day. It could be another day, or another timing. Okay, and then have pre-established consequences for misbehavior, enforce rules consistently. This is very important. Okay, because if you're not consistent, then the child knows how to ban you. Okay, like test water, right? We all know the younger kids especially, they will test water, they will see whether you can, they can, they can go around you or not. All right, so enforce rules consistently, avoid criticism and ridicule. Okay, this is very important as well, because you should not say things like, okay, I like the way that you're, I like the way Siti is sitting, but John, look at you, you're not sitting like Siti here. Okay, you're jumping around. This is actually, even though I think it's common teaching method, but it's actually in a way a soft ridicule to the student, and to the rest, and say, hey, because you will see after that the rest of the students will be like, yeah, John, why are you jumping around, and things like that. So the best way is to just say, oh, can we all sit like Siti, crossing our legs, sitting upright and looking at me. Can we all do that? Okay. Wow, everybody's sitting down. Okay, let's see. I think there's one or two of you who are not seated nicely. Can you all sit nicely and look at me? Are you all ready? Can? Okay, great. Okay, so then usually when you do that, the young kids will like look at around and okay, can. Of course, that's in the preschool setting. In secondary school, you don't do that, right? You, of course, when you do that, sometimes I do that just to break the tension in the classroom, and then all the kids will look at me. But it doesn't work all the time. So again, especially at secondary school, do not criticize them, do not ridicule them, because they are already aware of their emotions, they are aware of self-worth, self-image. So it's very, very important, when the kids understand that we should not be criticizing them and ridiculing them. Okay,
Teacher Fa,
so
if I may add,
enforcing rules, yes.
Yeah, one of the technique that I learned is actually about the tone of voice. Okay, when we talk to these children with ADHD, right, soft spoken, like a very manja type with them, they actually melts, like, okay, teacher, like, if we use a very stern, firm and high voice, it's actually give them a reaction to what we are telling them. So if you use the soft boy, the manja type voice, they will actually calm down, they'll follow your tone as well. All right,
Yes.
so that's one of the tips that I want to share with the rest of the
Yes,
teachers as well.
that's right. Usually when you're calm, that's why it's very important to stay calm. Okay, when we are calm, we self-soothe them. They are usually more responsive. Okay, but at secondary school level, for the adolescents, if they don't respond to that, then you have to be firm. Not necessarily shout, or just be firm, or you can approach them and then speak to them nicely but firmly. Okay, what's important is you need to be firm and calm as well. Okay. All right, next, provide encouragement. Okay, this is very important. Reward more than you punish. Try your best to find good behavior. Yes, this is very important. Okay, because children with hyperactivity, with ADHD, we often tell them, no, you can't do this. Stop running. Stop jumping. Stop climbing. Listen to me. We usually tell the negative sides, but we don't. But we don't like encourage them. Okay, so when we appraise them, we try our best to find anything. Okay, and I really mean anything to encourage them, to praise them. Okay, and if the student is often ridiculed as a classmate, you will always find that the student is often shouted by the teacher. Like the teachers will say, "Stop running," and all this. So then, we need to really reinforce that praise, okay, like, oh wow, I really like the way you're seated today. You know, you were so well behaved today. Okay, you were listening to me. You even managed to finish on time. Okay, anything, very little bit, or you know, it doesn't have to be big. It just have to be small, or you know, it can be during recess. Like, hey, you know, I saw that you took turns with whoever. You were lining up nicely. I really like that. Great job. Continue doing that. So again, doesn't have to be during lesson. Can be during any time of the day in school, even at home. You know, if the child is jumping, running around, but then when he's finally seated, like during eating, then you tell him, hey, I really like the way you're seated tonight. You're really seated for eating. You know, that's great. Thank you. You know, it's really all about you know, that connection. Okay, connection with your student, with your child, so that they know that it's not just like, oh, stop doing this, stop doing that, you know, but it's also about loving, right? Between, even for teachers, students, we need to create a connection. Okay, parents, child, we do need to have you know, encourage that positive self-talk, and then encourage the use of I can, you know, so that they can also know that they have the self-worth, okay, the self-esteem. A lot of kids in primary school, secondary school, they are going through a lot of issues, right? We talk about their social emotional development, because they are, you know, they are encountering a lot of stress from academically. So you know, if it does so-called like project through their behavior. So if we can insert that, you know, positive feeling in them, you know, so that they know that they have that self-worth, okay, that they are worth it, you know, that we care for them, then that would be the best. Okay, so we need to constantly encourage them, no matter how small the good behavior is. We need to tell them, play that part, especially if they have been they are subject of all these other negative behaviors. Okay, so I do see, I come from, not say I come from, I teach in a secondary school where there's a lot of behavior issues, and we did a whole school wide approach where we pick on their good behaviors. Okay, we downplay a bit on their bad negative behaviors, but we actually, you know, encourage positive image. So we do see a lot of changes when we do that. So it's also helpful for kids with ADHD or even other learning difficulties. Okay, so when we provide that encouragement. Okay, moving on, because I see that we are almost time. Okay, so provide structure and routine. So again, like I said, provide that routines. Okay, organize the materials, teach students to keep a neat desk. Okay, for parents, you need to teach students how to pack their bags nicely. I've seen a lot of students with their bags all over, their worksheets are all over, not in files, and you know, tattered textbooks and all that. So we need to teach the students, okay, not only to keep a clean, a neat desk at school, but also at home. Need to encourage students to be responsible, okay, because this will, if they do not know that they are responsible for their materials, because they as kids, they don't really know the work, the value of money, right? They all know, oh mom, my textbook is is spoiled, I need to buy a new one and all that, because you know, they are not responsible, or they, oh mom, I lost my pencil box again. So again, we need to teach the students to be responsible, okay, because when we brush it off, when they grow older, they would think that it's okay. If anything, if I lost something, I will just go to mom will pay for it, right? I will go to dad will pay for it. So we need to teach that sense to be responsible, okay? So not only with parents, but also teachers, okay? When they're handling class materials, their tables, their chairs, they need to be responsible for that. Okay, they are not supposed to draw anything on tables. They're not supposed to break their chairs. You'll be surprised how many students actually break their chair because they are not seated properly. They do not know how to sit properly. They will rock, and yeah, yeah, you'll be very surprised at primary school level as well, how many chairs break from students who do not know how to take care of their belongings. Okay, yeah, you can also have a class discussion on how to share ideas about how to keep organized, and encourage use of a checklist. At home environment, you can use a checklist for shopping. Okay, for shopping, you can get them to be responsible and say, hey, mom needs to buy all this. Can you help me find it? So then, it gives them a sense of achievement as well. If they can find it, they can tick off from the checklist and all. Okay, so provide structure and routines. Okay, routines is every day. Okay, as a start, try your best to do it every day. If you can't do it every day, then do it as frequent as you can. Okay, the key word here is you need to be consistent. Okay, even if it's not consistent, but every time you try to do it, be consistent. Okay, all right. Okay, so structuring the classroom. So I'm zooming in a bit more about the classroom. Keep it structured, establish a routine, like I said earlier. Use visuals. Okay, if you can see my backdrop, I use visuals. Quiet, listen, and sit. And then I have a volume thermometer as well. Okay, so I use visuals a lot in classrooms so that I do not need to keep telling them, sit down everyone, or keep quiet. Okay, so some teachers I do know when they put in the visuals or when they put in the structure, right, the instructions, they put 1, 2, 3 so that they can say, okay, everyone, can we have number 3? So number 3 is sit down, so everybody sits down. Okay, so you can also put in that. Schedules to help students know what's ahead. Okay, so we are still on learning teaching strategy. I will see whether we can do a short movement break. If not, you can stand up and stretch. I won't see you, so you can do that. Okay, so this is schedule so that the students know what to look forward to. Okay, reduce distractions. So again, this is very important. Okay, you need to reduce as much distractions. Don't put like fancy decorations or things like that, because when you have a student who is easily distracted, it can be a very big distraction, especially if it's something that is of high interest. Like if they are interested in unicorns, but then you have like big unicorn decorations all over your classroom, it can be a big distraction. So know where to put your structure your classroom. Okay, all right, next, use concrete language. Pens down, close your books, line up. Very concrete because it's very precise, right? But if you say something like, okay everyone, what was it that I was thinking about? Okay, you said everyone stop writing. Okay, we're going to go for the next the next lesson. Okay, what did I say? I said stop writing. I had one student, when the teacher said stop writing, he was still writing, but he wasn't writing. he was still holding onto his pencil, but scribbling, drawing. So when I approached him, I said, the teacher says stop writing. I'm not writing, teacher, I'm drawing. And this boy happened to have ADHD. And I was like, okay, I think your teacher meant pencils down. Then he put his pencils down and then say, okay, then look up. Okay, very precise. Pencils down, look up. Okay, so again, a lot of kids, they are very smart. So when you say, okay, stop writing, they can tell you back like that. But I'm not writing, I'm drawing. So yeah, some kids. Yep. Okay, so during transitions, provide clear and advanced warnings. Like I will say, this is you say, okay, next up we are going to have a break, but again, if you're not intending or if you do not have time for something, then you can say, okay, I think we do not have time for a break, so but we'll see whether we can have a short break before the next part. Okay, so you tell them in advance so that they know what to expect. Okay, establish independence is very important because everybody likes it when they can make decisions. So involve the students to think of options and make decisions. Even for the younger ones, they are able to make decisions. If they are not able, they are able to think of options. Even if they are not able to think of options, they can make decisions. So you can provide options, right? Yeah. So I don't know, like parents who give options, especially like what to wear, right? For our kids, like, okay, what do you want to wear? You want to wear pink or you want to wear blue? So give them forced choices. Okay, don't open up the cupboard, say, okay, what do you want to wear? And then they will pick up the most unlikely, or what you do not want them to wear. But the thing is, you're not being very precise enough, right? So give them forced options. Okay, like, okay, you can only do this, you can only do A or B. Which one do you want? and insist on just A and B. I only have A and B. What do you want? Okay, so then if they really do not want to say, okay, if you do not want that, I will make the decision for you. So again, giving them the option. Okay, right now I'm giving you the option to decide for yourself. So which one do you want? So giving, then the independence to make their own decisions. Okay, so that's just one example. Okay, next one. Rewards before consequences. Okay, so reinforcements are a wonderful way to increase desired behavior, but only if you do it consistently and only if the reward is met positively. Okay, in a way, like reinforcements is very tricky when we talk about reinforcements, because reinforcements usually mean what? Food, right? or something very big. But you know, a lot of teachers, a lot of parents, they like to go big and you know, but I always think that, you know, you can reward small little things, like stickers, or you know, encourage them, reward them with maybe, you know, if you're a parent, you can reward them with time, 5 minutes or half an hour time with mommy, nothing else. And make sure that if they get that half an hour of just nothing, make sure you are totally with them. Okay, not with your handphone like while they're playing, but you're with them, right? No. Okay, make sure you are in the zone with them. Okay, so you can and at school you can do like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of me time. They can do whatever they want, but within an agreed behavior, okay, or an agreed venue, okay, like a table behind at the back of the classroom. You can do that. All right, teach with list, with expectations. Teach with interest, okay, as motivators, and pick your battles. This is very important. Pick your battles, because if you want them, if you think that it's not worth fighting with them, then just let it slide. Just take a deep breath and just, okay, today let's do it your way, okay? Or like, okay, today why not, you know, you can tap or you know, you can do whatever you want, but within 1 minute, and at the end of the 1 minute, let's go. Okay, pick your battles, really, because sometimes when you pick your battles, it can save a lot of stress on your part as a parent or as a teacher. Okay, so yeah. Okay, I'm rushing a bit because I'm very aware of the time right now. We only have 15 more minutes, but we are going through soon, okay? Self-care management soon, which is quite an important part. So I may take a bit of your time, like maybe 10, 15 minutes. I'm so sorry for that. But yeah, okay, I will try my best, okay? Okay, so virtual classroom, okay. In the COVID era right now, we are doing a lot of virtual classroom. So for teachers, if you are doing virtual classroom, make sure you are to have the best classroom environment, right? Still, okay, in the virtual classroom, you need to reduce potential distractions in your background. Okay, please do not have, try your best not to have like your TV behind you or things like that, because then your students will not be paying attention to you, they will pay attention to the TV. Okay, and if you do use like the virtual background, make sure that it's a different color from yourself. Okay, if you had tried like Zoom or even in what's this Meet, right? Microsoft Meet. If you do the virtual background, if you have like moving virtual background, what do you think the students are more focused on? Yourself or your background? The background, right? So same. Okay, so this is actually my resource cupboard here. Okay, it has a very nice laminated doors. So I use this a lot for my lessons and my workshops because it's very boring. Okay, so the more interesting the interesting one is me. So yeah, so you can do that. Or if you choose a plain wall, you can do that. If you really need to do a virtual background, make sure it's boring, something boring, unless you want them to focus on your background. Okay, make sure before you start or as you start, make sure you start clear rules and agenda. Be aware of your movement as well, especially for the kids. Like I said earlier, I'm actually a mover, a squirmer, so actually I will rock my body and all. But if you have young kids who are easily distracted with that, you need to be very aware and try not to move as much, because when you move, the kids will unconsciously move as well. Okay, and always allow for movement breaks, okay, like or you do kinesthetic learning, teaching techniques, and oh yeah, plan for quiet time within the lesson, which is always great. Okay, quiet time within lesson, like if you're doing a live lesson, then you can do like you can get, okay everyone, I want you to turn to page 79 and we are doing this together right now. Okay, so then everybody do it. So it's quiet time. Okay, and if it's a very long lesson, like 1 hour lesson, you can also include social time, like think, pay, share, show and tell, where the kids have the opportunity to be in the spotlight as well. Okay, the spotlight, so that they can see themselves, or have that break, or rather not break, that movement, that expression, a way to not just sit down and listen and be quiet. Okay, so you can include that, consider doing that as well. Have a visual timer if possible. Kids with ADHD especially, they need to know when they can move, or when is appropriate time for them to do all their energy, to release up their energy. So if you can use a visual timer or a clock, or you can tell them, okay, the time is so and so, we have 5 more minutes, that would be great as well. Collaborate with parents to ensure that the child is ready to learn, especially if it's the first few times that the child is going through virtual classroom. It's always great to collaborate with the parents. Live versus recorded lessons. This is there's pros and cons to both, either live and recorded. Okay, recorded is, they are able to sit down and watch it at their own time. They can stop, pause, and then they can do other things, and then they come back and continue. Whereas for live lessons are needed, especially when like quizzes, or if the after you have done homework, and then the students need to ask you questions and all that, then that's where you go live. Okay, check for understanding through lesson reviews or quizzes, games. You can use Kahoot. You can use if you're other platforms. There are quite a lot of games or quizzes platforms available free. Okay, expect the unexpected. Yes, this is very important. Okay, we need to be flexible with that. Okay, you can some of you, when we are doing the workshop, okay, you can actually take a look at your participants, so you can see whether or not they are what they are doing and all that. So yeah, but if you see, okay, this one will be later. Okay, but be flexible in the sense, like sometimes there will be technology difficulties. One of the cameras can be down. Like for me, I have my laptop as well as my handphone. My handphone is my second camera. So I encountered before doing a workshop that my laptop froze during a workshop. So then yeah, even though I've done this so many times, we just need to expect it, and then just stay calm, talk to yourself, breathe, and then try to move on. But if you do encounter difficulties, continue talking to your participants, to your students. Okay, even if you need to, like, okay, hang on, I'm having a difficulty, I can't start this, or there's no audio or whichever, but it's good to always talk to your participants instead of just being very quiet. Okay, so that they know what to expect, or they know, oh, what is this teacher doing? I see her like very quiet, but she's very focused. So if you're having anything, if you're doing anything that involves waiting, it's good to tell your audience. Okay, moving on. Next, plan ahead. Okay, so at home, if you know your child has a virtual classroom, we need to plan ahead, especially for the child with ADHD or any other learning disorders for that matter. Need to plan ahead, stick to a routine or structure. Okay, so this again, if your child is very hyper, moves around, you need to have an area without distractors, and I mean like TV, toys if possible. Okay, and then put in your routine. Then that's where your structure comes in. Like, okay, this is the area that you're going to have class later on. The laptop is here. Okay, I set it up, and then you go through. Okay, after your lesson, what can he expect to? Okay, so that he knows. like it could be lunch, or you know, you can do, okay, we're going to do lunch first and then we're going to have lessons, okay, and after lessons then we are going out. So again, planning ahead, we need to put in the routine, the structure, then finding a suitable area, and then embrace your learning style, embrace your child's learning style. If your child is a mover, so again, this is where you talk to the teachers, okay? If your child is a mover, you need to move around, right? You can say, okay, as long as he's moving within a spot, okay, and he's attending, he's listening, he understands it, it's okay. You cannot expect a child, especially a young child, to sit through a 45 minutes lesson, a half an hour lesson all the way. No, it's impossible. Let me tell you that if he is not a mover, he's a squirmer. Okay, especially for the younger ones, he is not able to. All right. So embrace it. Don't, you know, if you are sitting beside your child, you better sit down straight, stay still. Okay, why are you not looking? You know, I've had parents do this. Okay, stay still. Huh? Hey, what did I say? Huh? Stay still, right? Because the child is moving. Stop fidgeting. Don't fidget, right? Hey, copy the assist. Okay, you need to be calm. Basically, okay, parents, if you're seated beside your child, embrace. If the child is moving around when the teacher is teaching, it's okay. But as long as when they're expected to do work, they say, okay, come, let's come back and let's do it. Or you can move for like 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, you come back and sit down and let's do our work. Okay? Build in exercises, breaks, and take time to reflect. Okay, why we need to reflect is because even for the teachers, okay, later on during the self-care management, we need to reflect on how we manage the kids during virtual lesson classroom. Okay, I will explain this more in the self-care management, which is right next. Okay, so yeah, the reflection part I will explain a bit more later. Okay, so self-care management is very important. Okay, if you need to move, I will allow you to move. It's okay as long as you are listening to me. Okay, so it's okay. We do not, in the interest of time, I've cancelled out moving. It's not a dance routine. I didn't expect. I wasn't intending to do a dance with you guys. Don't worry. It's just a break, a movement break. So you can just stretch your arms. Like for me, I need to stretch my arms a bit because it's tiring sitting down, right? So yeah. So self-care management. We all need to take care of ourselves. We need to be aware that self-care is not about it's not about productivity. Okay, when we talk about self-care, we need to be reminded that it's all about you. All right, it's all about us as teachers, as parents, as a child. Okay, self-care is for us. Okay, it's not about needing to have to do that 6 pages homework complete all within like half an hour. No. Okay, when we talk about self-care, we need to just take a step back and remind ourselves why. I mean, not why, sorry. But are we emotionally regulated? Okay, because if we are not emotionally regulated, or if we are not attention related, if we are not regulated as a whole, we are not able to pay attention. Again, attention is very important, right? So we need to have self-care, okay, for us. Moms or teachers, okay, self-care, right, is very important. So I'm going to explain to you, or I'm going to go through a few slides on how we can take care of ourselves while we are doing virtual classrooms, especially, okay, or when we handle kids with hyperactivity in the classrooms, okay, be it in the virtual classrooms or in the physical classroom, or even at home, okay, for parents, okay, how do we take care of ourselves when things are not going our way, when the kids are jumping all around or running all around? We need to stop, pause, and breathe. Okay, so okay, before I start, I want you to watch this video, okay, about, I'm not sure whether you watched this. I saw this on Facebook just a few days ago, and I thought it's very interesting and very relevant to this workshop. So I'm going to let you guys watch first. As you are watching, I want you to think of what her teaching style is like. What did she do? Okay, and do you think she gets the attention of her students, and why? Okay, just take a look for a while.
The number 4. Oh, I see Bryn is holding up 2 and 2. That will also make 4. I see 4 and 0. That is 4. What kind of pictures do we see over on our number 4? Can you raise your hand? What's a picture that you see over here in our number 4? Grayson, go ahead and turn your microphone on for me. What kind of picture do we see? Can you get your microphone on so we can hear ya? Yeah, what's a picture that you see, Grayson?
For some reason, it wasn't working.
Oh, but do you have it working now? It sounds like I can hear you.
Yeah.
So what's a picture that you see?
I see a class of kids.
Oh my goodness. Ooh, a peach. Does peach have the letter T sound? Or no, not a T sound at the beginning. Peach. Oh, I've seen so many hands on heads. Yeah, that does not start with the letter T. Great job, spoons back and bowls. Show me, you ready for the next one, kindergartners? Looking great, here we go. Ooh, what about a toe? Does toe start with the letter T? Show me your turtleneck if it does. Or no, toe does not start with T. Whoa, I'm seeing lots of turtlenecks because toe does start with T. Go ahead, give yourself a pat on the back.
Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna stop here. But basically, what do you think of her teaching style? What did she do? Do you think she gets the attention of her students? Yes? No? What do you think? You can see.
Keep
Oops.
up the great work. All right, and spoons and bowls. Show me, you ready for our next picture? Here we go.
You can see that she is very
What about a cup?
lively, right?
Does cup start with
She uses her hand props. Yeah, she does, right? Because she uses the use of her voice, her expression. Okay, so she shared this with the media. Yeah. Okay. So so I'm going to stop there. So yeah, she does get the attention from her students, right? She does. And what did she do? She provides visual and auditory learning to her kids. Yeah, she is lively. Okay, so that's what virtual classroom is all about. Okay, especially for the younger ones. Okay, you need to be very lively. Okay, and she uses visuals as well. And I love that she uses visuals because some kids, a lot of kids, respond better to that, especially if you're using video. Because sometimes when you use video, the kids can't hear, right? Every time Zoom lesson ends, my tummy starts to grumble, hungry and super tired. Yes, it's true. Yeah. So again, when we are lively, we use visuals. We capture the students' attention very easily. So it doesn't have to be just for the preschools, even for primary schools as well as for the secondary school kids. You can be as lively. You can use visuals like I'm using now. It's just that I'm not emphasizing on it, but it's just there, right? So so I really like it because teaching preschoolers in Zoom, in online teaching method is not easy. Okay, it's really not easy. You can imagine even in physical classroom it's not easy. Do you really think if it's in a Zoom online is doubly not easy? I think it's double that. Okay, so moving on. Yeah. Okay, so when you're live, because yes, it's true. When we are doing live workshops, we are not just teaching the kids, but we are also exposing ourselves to the parents, right? Yeah. So I'm going to touch that on that a bit later, very very soon. Okay, so we are starting now, right? We're going to do our Zoom lessons now. So what do we need to do? We need to go through the do's and don'ts, especially for the younger ones. Okay, the younger ones, we can say, okay, when I'm teaching, put your hands down, and then listen. Okay, and then introduce the schedule. Okay, like what I did at the beginning. Okay, introduce the schedule and then go through the routines. So again, parents as well as teachers, before we start or as we are starting, we need to go through all this. Okay, so that the kids know, the kids understand what are your expectations. Okay, so when we are online now, okay, online, sometimes when we are share screen, we don't see you don't necessarily see the student's face, but sometimes when we do not share screen or what, then you have everybody's faces there, right? Then you suddenly see one of your students like toing 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 running around shouting and all that, and you as a teacher, what do? Like, no, I want you to stay still, stop, no. Right? Okay, first of all, if you're a parent at home with your child, or if you're a teacher teaching, what you need to do is stop and breathe. Okay, you need to breathe, because if you don't breathe, you panic, you're not calm, and then when you're not calm, you are not you're not attending well to the students or to your child. So you need to breathe, and then we also need to choose our battles, because if you're doing the teaching but you know the parent is there, right? Then it's okay, just let's just move on, because sometimes when you do not pay attention to the child, you do not call that child out, eventually he will be okay. As in, like, when you are doing work, they say, okay, now everybody, let's do it, it's time to do work. You will see sometimes, the kid will come and then just sit down, and yeah, everything is going to be okay. And it's okay that everything is not going to plan. It's okay, focus on what is needed. So as a teacher, you focus on your teaching, but after that, then you address when necessary. Unless you see the parents not there, nobody's there, but he is like doing something very risky, doing something very very risky, then we have to stop the lesson and then maybe call out, hey everyone. You don't need to call out on the child itself, right? Say, hey everyone, okay, let's stop what we are doing. All right, can you all of you follow my actions? Can all of you come, let's sing for the younger ones, right? Let's sing something, then do something that is movement related, so that the child try to stop, so that when you see the child is still not doing, but you say, okay everyone come, John, can you come to the front, can you help us lead it? Then you do a spotlight video on it. And kids with ADHD, they love attention, really really do. Then when you spotlight the video on them, then they will, oh look, I'm on TV, yay. So then they would start doing the follow, right? Every weekend must reward self with ice cream. Yes. Okay, yes. Yeah, that's for us, right? For the teachers. Okay. So yes. So again, when necessary, stop whatever you're doing, then do something else. Break the routine, break your lesson, so that the child comes back to you. Okay. So that's why you have to exercise flexibility, right? Yeah. When screen frozen, yeah, I've done that. That's why I said, I had that happening.
Sorry,
Yes.
there's a question. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, during the online lesson, right?
Mm.
Okay, if there is a lot of movement from that particular child, okay,
Yep.
we can actually, like what you suggested. What if that child throw tantrum? Yeah,
Throw tantrum, okay.
throw tantrum, like start throwing things, because that maybe he doesn't want the lesson online,
Yep.
or maybe he doesn't want to do this thing, so he start to throw tantrum and disturb the friends, like slapping friends in class setup, or online start throwing things in front of the
Yep.
camera and stuff like that. So how do we deal with it? I think one of the questions here by Miss Fee. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I see that. Yeah. Shouting, crying out loud, throwing things. Okay. When this is, if it's in a Zoom, right? We need to know that not everything is within your control. Okay. If you're a teacher and you see that, but you know that if let's say the parent is there, then you try to let the parent handle first. Okay. Unfortunately, so sorry parents, but as a teacher, if you look from a teacher's perspective, we have other kids as well. But if we know that you are doing okay, the child is not hurting others, just crying because they want to avoid that, right? So again, then you need to be prepared. If you know the child will do that, okay, if you know the child will do that, then you need to prepare, preempt the kid, or prepare interactive activities, so that the child will be more involved. Okay, the child can be involved in other ways apart from just listening or things like that. So you can send home or email to the parents, maybe like coloring activities, or things that he likes. Okay, it's okay especially the younger ones, it's okay if he has his toys with him, as long as he is within that space. All right. If it's in a physical class, or then if he is hurting others, we need to stop that, of course, okay, because safety is an issue. Stop the throwing. Of course, you know, it will take time, especially with the routines. You need to emphasize on the routines. That's why I always emphasize on the routines and the consequences, as well as the rules and expectations. Because even at a young, for preschool 3 to 5 years old, they are able to understand simple instructions, especially when you have done routinely. Okay, especially if you emphasize enough like the rules, the do's and don'ts, and then you emphasize it throughout the day, like every half an hour. Okay, everyone, very great that all of you are seated. That's one of the rules. Excellent. I really love it when you're seated. Okay, you know, when they're quiet, say, okay, very good. It's quiet time now, and all that. So. But if it's a one-off thing, because when you do routines, when you set routines consistently, usually even the younger kids with ADHD will be able to attend to you, or at least listen to your instructions when you tell them to stop. Okay, and then refer back to the rules, because it's a routine, right? So every time he does something, and it's a routine. Okay, stop. Everyone, let's do number 3, sit down. Okay, but if it's a one-off, like shouting, crying aloud, again, some things they are beyond our help. So let him go through that phase, so called. Okay, that 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes of that. And then when you think, put everything away. If he's throwing things, put everything away. Make sure nothing is beyond his reach to throw. Again, making sure that you are safe as well as the child. Okay, and then just wait for him to be calm. All right, this is if online, right? Online. Even if physically, you know, you just make sure that things are safe, because in school when you face other students focus, yes, this is when if you are the only teacher, then you send the kids off to whichever learning corners, or, you know, quickly wrap up your class and give them the work to do or anything else, and then you attend to the kid if you are the teacher. Okay, because safety is an issue, then you explain to the kids, okay, I'm just going to manage whoever. Okay, I'm just going to go to John, and then all of you, can you please take a paper and start drawing? Just do something very simple, okay? Because right now your concern is the safety issue for this particular child. Okay, so yeah, because when we say when he didn't get his way, how do we know that he doesn't get his way? Maybe it's something, suddenly he feels pain, or, you know, or he suddenly recalled something, like he wanted something. But yeah, how do we exactly know that it's not his way, him not getting his way? That's why he's throwing tantrum. Okay, so yeah, so first one, making sure he's safe. Second one, clear everything. If he's shouting, crying, just let it go, let everything go. Okay, all the other students, you just disperse them to do their own work, learning corners. And then thirdly, when she's calmer, then say, are you okay? All right, I'm here for you. Let's sit up, wash up, and then sit down. Let him just be calm. Yeah. So when he's calmer, then you ask questions. Don't be like, stop crying. You know, don't emphasize on that. Okay. When a child is showing all these big emotions, what we need to do, we need to be loving. We need to be caring. Like, okay, I see that you're upset. Let's drink water. Oh, okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to sit. Let's take a while to calm down. Okay, give you 30 seconds. 10, 9, 8, and all that. Okay, so your goal at that moment in time is to get him to be calm, not to stop immediately, but just be calmer. If he's shouting, shout less loud. Okay, so yeah, so your end goal is to be calmer, and then you address it. Okay, because if it's happening on a daily basis, then you need to talk to the parents. Need to talk to the management, because if it's really disruptive for like every day doing that, then you need to get help. Okay, get help from others, especially. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's move on a bit. Okay. All right. So if you're in virtual classroom, lessons finally over. Phew. What can we do? Smile. Okay, smile. Go and take a break. Go and drink water. Ustazah Zubaida, have ice cream. For me, after every lesson, I would sleep or after every workshop, I would sleep, because I've been I just need that mental break. Okay, so that's my self-care. Okay, I take a break by sleeping because I need to just be quiet, be in the zone, in the zen mood. And then if the student is very disruptive and all that, let's talk about it. Okay, it does help to talk about it when everything is calm. Talk to the student or talk to the parent. Or you can message the parent, are you okay? I will message the parent that, are you okay? I hope everything is all right. I hope you feel okay. Acknowledge and reflect on the emotions felt. This is especially true for the parents, okay? If you're there managing your child, it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel angry at the child, especially. It's very natural, okay, to be angry at the child because he's behaving that way, okay? But you need to recognize that what is and what is not within your control. Okay, if the child is, yes, that's right. Okay, we need to be grateful to parents who are always present for with their kids every time we Zoom lesson. But as parents, if you are a parent, you need to recognize what is and what is not within your control, because sometimes things happen, and that is okay. Really, it is really, really, really okay. All right. If you need help, you can just switch off the Zoom and then just tend to your kid. Okay, if your child is really, really upset, really running around, not paying attention, then you can just, okay, what is your goal as a parent? Do you want him to run around? Do you want him to just listen while running around, or do you want him to calm down? So then you have to think about what is your goal. Okay, you have to reflect. All right. So if your child is really like throwing tantrum, jumping up and down, not listening, then you just switch off the laptop for a while, close it, have a child breathe, have a chat with your child, and then see where we can meet in the middle point, right? Yeah. So even as teachers, okay, if you think during lesson observation your child is like jumping around, or in physical classroom you're having lesson observation and all that, it's okay. It's okay, really. The thing is how we manage our emotions, especially during lesson observation. Lesson observations, usually the management, even myself, when I'm a mentor, when I'm doing my lesson observations with my teachers, I do not necessarily observe how she handles the whole class or how she handles the teachers, but I also see how she handles herself. Okay, if she's calm, does she like immediately be angry and all that? How does she manage her emotions? Because that's very important as part of the teacher, managing your emotions. Okay, so I know it's very daunting to have somebody come in to observe your lessons and then have your child, like not doing what you are expected. But it's okay. It's okay, as long as you know how to be flexible with yourself, with your teaching methods, with your emotions. I think that is the more important aspect here. Okay, I'm not sure about others lah, but for me, especially if I see my teacher having difficulties with a specific child, I find that I will look at how she regulates her emotions and how she can be flexible to redirect this child. And if you really, really, really can't, I as a mentor, I will step in and I will help the child. But again, don't worry about, if you're having a lesson observation and then something happens. I mean, like I said, recognize what is and what is not in your control. Then at the end of it, you reflect on the lesson, right? You reflect on yourself, you reflect on the child, you reflect on your teaching method. Okay, and then as a parent, you reflect, okay, what works and what does not work. And maybe is it like something he ate before that, or is he tired, is he, or maybe we should do like earlier, Sergeant Zubaida said, one of the participants, sorry, to move around first, okay, run around and then come back and then we start lesson. Okay, so as a parent, we can also do that. Maybe go to the playground, jump and then come back for lesson. Of course, not to be too tired now, because again, if the kids is too tired, then it's a whole different issue, right? Yeah, so recognize that lah. Okay, I know I'm taking a bit of a time right now, so moving on. The last thoughts. Okay, so we need to capitalize on their strengths instead of saying hyperactive. We say energetic, okay, spontaneous, they are imaginative, flexible, committed. Okay, not say stubborn, but very committed to whatever that they want, and they're assertive. Okay, of course, all this, you know, it needs to be within what is appropriate. Okay, so usually I do not use the word hyperactive. I will only say energetic and spontaneous. Okay, I don't really use imaginative for daydreamer, but when we are, you know, talking to our students, we don't say don't be such a daydreamer, you know, we don't say that. All right, you try to use positive words with our students, with our children. Okay, so yeah, so their strengths, children with ADHD, what are their strengths? They have high level of energy, good gross motor skills, very curious, very passionate, very proficient in technological use, right? TV, laptop, they're very good. And they love outdoor activities. They're adventurous, variety of interests. So this is one way of looking at another perspective with our kids with ADHD. And then, yeah, so can ADHD be a gift? I think I saw this on Facebook as well. I forgot which link or from which book I saw it, and I thought it's really nice. Oh no, I read it. Sorry, this is from Reader's Digest, I think. And when I was reading it, yeah. So instead of looking up at the symptom, I said that if you want to turn it to a positive perspective, then these are some things that, you know, you can think of or you can consider. Okay. Okay, so at the end of the day, we need to shift our mindset from labeling our students or our kids. Support should be given based on the behaviors or traits, because I think ADHD as a whole has a lot of behaviors, a lot of symptoms, right? But not all strategies are a lot of strategies. Not all strategies will be good for students. So always target the behavior and then look out for how we can help that particular behavior. And then use person first language. So we say like, oh, the kid. We don't say ADHD kid, or I have an ADHD kid, or I have an ADHD student. Sorry, but for me, I always say that, oh, I have a student who have attention issues or who is very energetic, because we need to remember that first of all, the child is a child. Okay, he's not the diagnosis. He is a child. So that's my take. And always be sensitive to the child, as well as to the to the child, especially if they are older and all that. Okay, so I believe we did answer quite a bit of questions at the end. Okay, let me just see. Okay, let me just stop share first. What was the first slide on capitalizing strength? Okay, let me see. I will give you the full slides after the workshop. So, hyperactive versus energetic, yes. Okay, so Q&A. I'm just going to go through. I hope I've answered all of the questions. I believe I did. I have one comment here. My brother's teachers used to always give me negative feedback until I told her, isn't there any positive or good things that my brother did? As teachers, it's very important. Yes, we need to share the feedback of how the students are behaving. But at the same time, we also need to pick out the good things that he did in school, no matter how small. I remember sharing with my parent student of how he managed to score almost full marks for his maths paper, because he was very attentive. You know, he managed to use all the strategies and all that. And the mom actually cried on the phone with me, because he said, oh, usually the teachers will call to say, you know, he is this and that, he runs, he doesn't listen, blah, blah, blah. So I'm actually the first call that the mom received to, and I really called just to say that he passed, he scored almost full marks for his maths, because he did all the skills and strategies that we practice. Yeah, so the mom was very happy, tears of joy. She was really crying on the phone and like thanking me and all that, because no teacher has ever called her to tell her such good things about her son. So yeah, we need to really think about that. Okay.
Yeah, if I may add.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
If I may add to share with all the teachers here, whenever we feedback to parents, always use the sandwich method, which is the first. What is sandwich method? Is mean like the first part of the sandwich is always give the positive feedback about the child, even when the child is running around, but at least get one positiveness from the child, positivity of the child. All right, and then you want to address that the thing that you feel that you need to address to the parents. So that's the middle part of the sandwich. All right, so you say, oh, but however, I have concern about da 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 da, and then after that you wrap it up, okay, everything with a positivity again. Like, if let's say we have your support on this thing, I'm pretty sure, for example, the child named Ali will do better in this term and things like that. So whenever we speak with parents, this is the crucial part. Sandwich part, it always works best. Okay, because
Yes,
if
that's right.
you start with the negative things first, parents will shut down,
Shut off.
parents will, shut off, or maybe parents will actually like, okay, I heard this before, I don't want to hear anything from you again. Yeah, that's my
Yes.
challenge. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Okay. If there's no further, let me just check quickly. How can we help intervene proper behaviors? You mean to say, how do we intervene to make proper behaviors? Okay, really depends. Intervention, it really depends on what kind of behavior it is. You need to know the why. Okay, always every behavior there's a reason why they are behaving that way. So we need to know and understand why the child is behaving why the child is behaving so. So if you can pinpoint that particular exact reason why he is behaving that way, then we can intervene in terms of putting in the proper behavior modification to help with that. Okay, so for example, if the child is shouting and crying because he does not like to sit down during Zoom lessons, okay, he's not able to sit down long periods of time, then obviously the intervention would be make the lesson shorter, or maybe allow him to move every 10 minutes, move for like 1 minute and then come back, and then so intervention, when we talk about intervention, right, it's very difficult for me to tell you exactly how to intervene proper behaviors, because how to intervene to have proper behaviors, because it all depends on the child's why is he behaving that way. But so it could be, if you could be a bit more specific, that would be great, then I can answer that. But it's a bit too general, and it's very difficult for me to provide a strategy on that. Okay, so okay, moving along, if we do not have other more questions, I'm going to skip that. Okay, we need Ustaz Zubaida, need your feedback on the workshop. So if you could just go to bit.ly/LT MC1, or if you have your phone, you can take a look at the QR code, capture the QR code, and then fill up their feedback. That would be great. Okay, so meanwhile, if you have further questions, you can type out in the chat, and then I can see whether I can respond to that. And yes, post workshop material, I will email you the completed workshop slides, as well as the links to the videos and other links that I think will be useful for you. I will pass that to Ustazah Zubaida by this weekend, and then as and when Ustazah Zubaida gets it, then she will pass it to you. Ustazah Zubaida, is there anything else?
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Teacher Fa, for your beneficial exchange, and I hope every one of you gain a lot of things from this workshop in support of Raikan Ilmu Mendaki and organized by Masjid Al Islah. I think that's all. Okay. If you have any further question, you can just email me, inshallah. Okay. We will attend to you. And with that, we thank you so much for your support, and that's it from us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And I'm really sorry I run against the time. A lot of sharing.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. If you have any other further questions, you can just, like Ustazah Zubaidah said, just email her. Or if you have my email, you can also go, bloomingfootprints.sg@gmail.com. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for being great participants. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, I'm going to end the session soon. So I do hope you have the link for the feedback, okay? All right, thank you.
Okay, Teacher Fa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Itu Kak Rehana kan?
Thank you
Kak
very
Rehana.
much.
Hi. You, are you there?
Ya, I'm here. You dengar I tak?
Dengar. You kat
Dengar,
mana?
dengar.
Kat Bantal eh?
Kali. Mana ada kat bantal. I kat ni, sampai dalam toilet.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's working.
Depan dengan handphone dengan.
I forgot dia kena on duty kat masjid.
That's why masuk macam, really lupa sih. Sekali bangun, Ustazah Zubaidah ambil gambar. Mak, lambat saya masuk. Tadi cakap sorry. Teacher, you are recording this.
Oh yeah, I'm still recording.